is it going to take? Connected. All right, we're good. All right. Wait. Hi. Let's do it. Oh. Toasty. You saw him, right? Toasty. All right. I can delete that one. Let's do this. Hi. If you're already listening to this as a podcast, please listen to it on Spreaker. Yeah. That's the link above, or you can just go to Spreaker and look up the show name, and you'll be able to find me. Thank you. Yeah. What that guy said. That was completely useless and pointless because if you are listening to it, you're not going to see that. See what he did there. You have exactly 3 days left for B-Day Girl for 10% off. Otherwise, you can use the food star that's already on there, but that's only 6%. 10% off until my daughter's birthday on the 2nd. Right there. That'd be Thursday. Okay. All right. Cool. SemperFryLLC.com. That's spelled SemperFryLLC.com. Hot sauce, creatine, book, stuff, things. Yay. Okay. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. What? Why is that like? That's weird. Why do I have 2 of those? Oh, I know why. Because it's supposed to be right there. Boom. Okay. And let's see what else we got here. Interesting. Let's see. Why is it cut differently? That's weird. It wasn't like that before. All right. We'll use that later. All right. It's time to get going here. Let everybody filter in. It's a little bit late, but it's whatever. So, how it starts, how it ends. It's my day. My day was like this at the beginning. Yay! All right, everything's awesome. All right, this is what it ends up being at the end. So I went to try to get my new phone put together. Hey, Karen. I've been up at 4 a.m. and I'll be listening in my bedtime story. Yeah, there we go. I didn't want to go out and do anything, but I was asked to because there was something going on with my stepson's phone, so they wanted me to inquire when I was there. And I went to one of the locations for the phone, and it was under new management with a big sign. I'm like, is that insinuating, or are you implying that means it's a improvement from the last, management, or is it not? Is it a degradation of the previous? Because they were pretty bad. And I walked in there. It smelled like a sewer. It smelled like actual poop inside there. And I happened to notice that there was a big plumbing truck outside. And I'm like, and nobody came to the front. And then when I was gagging in there, trying not to breathe it in, but also having to breathe, of course, I walked up to the front. I said, hello. And that's when the person who was there the whole time, who heard me gagging and who heard everything else and heard me like talking to myself, but actually just kind of getting the feel as to whether or not there was somebody there because there's nobody in the store. He said, yeah, I'll be out there in a minute. Like, so you heard the chime of the door that it's supposed to, initiate a response, and you were saying, hi, I'll be right there, or welcome to this blah, blah, blah. And you didn't do that. You waited for me to come up to the front and say something to you. And then you're like, yeah, dismiss. So I'm like, screw this. I'm not going to sit here and smell crap, literal crap, while I communicate with somebody like that, right? And they had mentioned something to Rebecca a previous day. They're like, oh, yeah, we don't know how to fix that problem on his phone. But yet, here's a bunch of bullshit that we're trying to sell you. I'm like, if you can't fix the problem, the simple problem here, which is actually a major issue with his phone, but you're trying to upsell us a bunch of bullshit. I'm like, and they lied saying that there was a merger going on and that if we switched over now, that we would, like, I don't know, because we've been customers for, I'm like, none of this makes any sense. You've been customers for over 10 years, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, that's a lie. I mean, how many other, I said, you should ask them how many other people are qualified for this, because I don't believe it. And then when I went online and I looked, they're like, no, that's a scam. They were trying to get you to do something that's going to push you into higher rates and a bunch of extra fees and all this other bullshit. Like, you're going to get $2,000 worth of credit on new phones, and your payments are actually going to be $25 cheaper, locked in for 5 years. I'm like, yeah, what happens after that? You know? It's like, I'm not looking for the adjusted rate mortgage here. So I said no to, well, I was skeptical when I was presented it, and they're like, yeah, $2,000 worth of phones, and obviously he needs one because they can't fix the problem. And then they went out to a different location today, and the person there told them that somebody there was a problem with the virtual SIM. And he said, whenever you have an option to have a physical SIM card, always go with that. And I'm like, yeah, that just makes sense to me. A digital SIM, I mean, what the hell is that even? Because they said updates can corrupt that. And they also said that other shenanigans can happen. So apparently somebody at probably that shithole store that literally smells like a shithole decided randomly to pick our account, and because they were trying to give somebody else some sort of deal, what they did was they basically assigned my stepson's SIM information to a whole different device, and in the idea that, yeah, well, I mean, obviously this person who we just screwed over, who doesn't have an activated phone now, will come in, and then we'll try to upsell them as well while we were just making this other deal. Or, you know, well, you know, if they knew how to do it, they would fix the problem. But the girl didn't know what the hell she was doing when she said, yeah, we don't know what that problem is, but here, let me try to sell you something. I'm like, well, that was the wrong way for her to start that anyway. It's like, if you can't show us a success in the short, you know, why are you trying to send, you know, why would we be confident in what you're telling us about anything else? So they went to the other place, and the other place fixed it like that. His phone's working fine. It's like an iPhone 14 or something like that. And it was just bullshit. So they put an actual physical SIM in it now, but that's pretty messed up that somebody reassigned his SIM to another device. Now, it could have been a hacker, maybe, but more than likely, from the information that we looked up, someone literally at a store decided that they were going to just swap it. And, you know, there's a lot of Mexicanas here that watch each other's back and all that shit. I had to deal with that firsthand when it was definitely the other person's fault for smashing into my door at 45 miles per hour in a Toyota, and somehow the freaking Mexican female cop made it my fault and screwed me out of the $25,000 I would have had so I could replace my vehicle, and just a whole bunch of shit happened back in 2021 or 2. So I hate cops, and I hate corruption, and I hate people who do that kind of nonsense. What's right is right. You shouldn't be screwing people over to help. It's like, what is that even? Oh, are they your clan? Are they your family? No. It's like, come on now. It just kind of bothered me a little bit. So anyway, so we're here now, and we have some things to go over. There's some weird shit going on, kids. Let's start with something lighter. A little messed up. Very messed up. That whole cannabis thing.
There was a build,
and I appreciate this way more than I would some misplaced. Oh, it's medicinal, and you know, it makes you slow. It makes you stupid. I don't care what anybody says about anything else. That is the reality of the situation. It makes you slow. It makes you stupid. It makes you irritating to me. And there's people who think that they're just as capable and just as rational when they're on it, because that's what they think in that state. And I'm here to tell them, no, you don't. You're more sensitive. You're more irritating, and it's not a plus whenever the person's on it. So I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't care about the medicinal. I really don't. It doesn't mean anything to me. I think it's a lot of exaggeration, a lot of bullshit. If they just knew how to have proper nutrients and not eat dog shit and all this other crap, which, by the way, that stuff will entice you to eat a bunch of crap. So why even go that route? If it's something that's applied in a different manner, I don't think anybody should be jailed for having it or selling it, like any other substance. If you're an adult, you're an adult. You make your decisions. It would take the parasitic influence out of it if it became valueless. Hold on a second. This thing's clipping again. So hold on. Stand by. Stand by. I gotta turn this off for a second. Fuck you. Trying to dust it here. All these other dials don't really do anything because I don't have extra mic or headphones in, but let's get rid of that. And that should be good like that. All right, cool. So building material that does not burn or rot. Let's hear it again. There is a building material that does not burn, it does not rot. Let's have a look.
Building material that does not burn, it does not rot, it does not let mold grow. Pests cannot eat through it, and the longer it stands, the stronger it gets, turning over decades into literal stone. It breathes like living wood, regulating temperature and humidity without any mechanical system. A wall of it costs a family almost nothing to heat or cool. And the core ingredient can be grown from seed in just 120 days. Then, in 1937, the United States government made it a crime to grow the plant it comes.
Why? Because oives, because parasites. That's why. Because they're in charge of the industries that will. Number one, they don't want you to be independent of them, and they don't want the things that they have put a price tag on, put a meter on, to lose money due to an innovation. And this is why they took it away. This is why they demonized it. And that's, again, I have my own personal opinions about partaking in the stuff, and that doesn't mean that I don't see the other benefits of utilizing it in different ways, like the indestructible car that Henry Ford created with the stuff, probably similar to the way that they made this compound here for the building material. It's, I'm sure, a lot better than stupid drywall as well. But let's continue.
From. Not because it failed, because 3 powerful men decided it threatened their fortunes. This is the story of hempcrete, the criminalized building material that could have given every American family a home.
That's the other problem. They want to keep you in a state of misery and scarcity. They want to deprive you, and they want to make. See, this is all based on their control of money, right? If we were just living with each other, in the sense that we're working along each other, with each other, the wealth would come from the team effort in everything that we do. Oh, somebody knows how to wire. Oh, good. Somebody knows how to keep the electrical grid going. Awesome. And they'll be the people who are also teaching the class on, the next generation that will maintain it. We don't need them. We don't need the parasite. We don't need the thing that makes us believe that we're dependent on it. We're not. It's dependent on us in believing the spell. Because they don't produce anything. They don't create anything. They just steal and co-opt, and they trade on the reputation of things that have already established a track record of trust with the people. And whenever it comes to something that could free us, make us more independent, they squash it, They demonize it, and they eliminate it from our memory. Innovations that would, if their true aim was a healthier, non-climate changey type of place, they wouldn't be doing the shit that they do. It's all bullshit. They don't give it. Do you honestly think that the same people that rape and eat children, and we'll talk about what just happened in Lebanon, they are exterminating human life every day? Do you honestly think they give a shit? It's not because of their own collected interest in, we need to have this place just right temperature on the dial to make sure that everything's good for us. They don't think like that. I don't even know if that the same things that bother them, because they seem to poison goddamn everything. You would think if these toxins were actually harmful to them as well, I don't know what they are. That they wouldn't do that, right? That PFAS and all the other shit that they spray everywhere. Yeah, kosher doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfectly clean, although it's a good start. It's just incredible what is happening. And every time you turn on a TV, I don't turn on TVs, but every time you look at anybody's reports on, hey, here's something else that's crazy that our government officials, quote unquote, the actors for the corporation have said at the White House, or Trump says, and it's one wickedly evil thing after another. And it's said in a way that implies that it's better, it's useful, it's coming from a good place, but it's ultimately there to destroy you and manipulate you and make you think that it's completely necessary to embrace the most wickedly evil creatures on the planet and welcome them into your country. God forbid, I don't know. I don't know what to say right now. It's like all that surveillance that's being set in place and the quote unquote mixed, I'm going to say they're mixed use data centers that they want to produce. This is all for the most evil people in the world to know exactly where you are at all times, what you're thinking, what you're saying. And how is that beneficial to you? It's beneficial to them because they know what they plan to do to you and us. And they don't want to be surprised by an organized effort to resist them because, number one, they're cowards. Number two, they just want an excuse to call somebody a domestic terrorist and anti-Semite in the public so that the mob supports them in, going heavy-handed on you and eliminating you and your family and your dog with their armed thugs. This is going to be a Purim right here. And it's going to be powered by a Palantir and Flock and drones and your own military, your own local law enforcers, not peace officers. It's coming.
Is fireproof, indestructible, and completely free from corporate dependence. And the names of the men who made sure that never happened. Welcome to nature's lost vault. The archive opens in France, not in the 1980s when modern architects rediscovered this material. The archive opens in the 6th century AD, 500 years after the fall of Rome, along the Sarthe River. Here, engineers of the Merovingian kingdom constructed bridge abutments from a mortar made of hemp fibers and lime. Those bridges are gone, but the hemp-lime foundations they rested on remain. Archaeologists found them completely intact, 1400 years later. Across the world in India, inside the carved Buddhist caves of Ellora, the plaster lining the walls has protected intricate...
Oh, and by the way, don't equate this here to Indians, like the way you see now. It was the Gothic Aryans / Scythians, if you want to go that direction with it. That's who it was. The same people that Waddell talks about in their own histories through the makers of civilization and race and history, and actually in the British Edda he mentions it too often, where these people migrated, our ancestors. They're the ones who brought that information, and it's known that stuff was utilized. Nothing was smoked; it was fumigated. So they would either tent it or they would just throw it in a fire and stand around it. But they didn't do that. The earlier times there was no rolling a J. There was potentially hotboxing. That was the fumigating in a tent. That's what they talk about with Abraham. He gets all drugged out of his mind, and then he thinks, "Oh, the voices in my head are telling me to kill my son."
Carvings from monsoon humidity for over 15 centuries. When scientists analyzed it in 2016, they found pounded hemp. The caves flood during the rainy season, yet the plaster has not crumbled, not molded, not failed. The formula is almost absurdly simple. Take the woody inner core of a hemp plant, called the hurd, the part that rope makers historically threw away as waste. Mix it with lime and water, pack it into wall forms around a timber frame, and wait. What happens next is alchemy. The lime reacts with carbon dioxide in the air through a process called carbonation. Over days, weeks, and years, sometimes 12 years, the lime slowly reverts to calcium carbonate. It turns back into stone. The hemp fibers become encased in a mineral matrix. The wall literally petrifies, becoming harder and more resilient every single year it stands. There is a building material.
And it's super light, right? And this is the same concept around the hemp car that Henry Ford built. Let's see if we can find something on that. Henry Ford's 1941 hemp car was a revolutionary prototype with a bioplastic body made from hemp, soybeans, and other crops. Weighing 30% less than standard steel vehicles, it boasted panels 10 times stronger than steel. Let me repeat that. It's 30% less heavy than standard steel and 10 times stronger than steel. The project was abandoned during World War II. Why? And the prototype was ultimately destroyed. You want to know why? Because of the winners of World War II don't want those types of innovations. Not because it was like the war effort. They wanted metals. They didn't want hemp. No, send them all the hemp so they can win the war. No, that's not what happened. Evil took over here in 1865, but it really made its expansion and its dominance was solidified post World War I and II. Plant-based materials, the body was crafted from a composite of cellulose fibers, including hemp, wheat straw, and flax, bound together with resin. But they probably didn't even need to go all that far. They probably could have just made these things, except for the simple fact of the setting part, maybe, I don't know. It weighed roughly 1,900 pounds, about 1,000 pounds lighter than steel models, improving overall fuel efficiency. The plastic was famously resilient and could withstand severe impacts without denting. Yeah, you hit it with a hammer. Let's see if we'll get a picture. We'll get that in a second right there. Hemp biofuel. Ford envisioned the car running on ethanol derived from hemp, not from corn, or other agriculture crops, tying the future of farming to transportation fuel. Why it was never produced? Because the demon parasite is in control. That's why. The outbreak of World War II halted nearly all non-military automobile production. That doesn't make any sense. Disrupting Ford's plans to integrate agriculture and auto manufacturing. By the time the war ended, the political climate had shifted, right? Because the parasite was deeply embedded everywhere. And it just won a major victory, confirming its dominance. The political climate had shifted toward, and it all because of our effort to help the banking cult along through our own military might. We fucked ourselves, basically. And the world. Fucked ourselves and fucked the world. The political climate had shifted toward strict hemp and cannabis prohibition, of course. And the booming steel and petroleum industries made the plant-based vehicle economically unviable at the time. Oh, gee, who owned the steel? And would that be Standard Oil and Standard Railroad? Hold on. I could have been JP, but let me see. Well, primarily known for Standard Oil, John D. Rockefeller expanded into the steel industry in the 1890s by buying iron ore ranges and steamship lines, sparking a major rivalry with Andrew Carnegie. So between those two assholes who are both Rothschild agents, gee, I can't imagine. This is like the raw milk story all over again. It's like, hey, if something is good for them, take it away. Take it away and make an excuse. Take it away. The dude has the most ridiculous face in the... Ugh. Yeah. Where are we at? Where was I at? Yeah, right here. Interest in the vehicle continues today with modern advocates and automobile enthusiasts such as Bruce Dietzen building street legal prototypes to demonstrate the carbon capturing potential of hemp in car manufacturing. Carbon capturing potential. They were just talking about that in the video there. Okay, don't tell me about more context. Shut the fuck up now. All right, let's go to here.
Amongst the thousands of products made from hemp, one of the most extraordinary is Henry Ford's plastic car. Built in 1941, it contained cellulose fibers derived from hemp, sisal, and wheat straw. The plastic was lighter than steel, yet could withstand 10 times the impact without denting.
I'm sure people have seen that video. It was being passed around the internet like a joint for a while. So there's that. Let's go into the chat real quick. Karen says, I thought hemp was completely different than pot plants. Hemp makes ropes, clothes, items, isn't even smoked from the little... I can't remember how. Well, I thought the hemp was like the name of the overall plant. And then the bud is what people smoke. Am I wrong? Yeah. I'm going to sound like a retard here, but... Yes, botanically speaking, hemp and cannabis come from the exact same plant species, Cannabis sativa. They are simply different varieties or cultivars that have been selectively bred to have different chemical makeups and physical traits. The distinction between the two come down to how they are bred, their chemical composition, and how they are classified by law. Get the fuck out of my face. Chemical profile. The key difference is the concentration of delta 9C, TH, blah, blah, blah. All right, hemp must contain 0.3% or less of THC by dry weight. Cannabis. Well, if we're talking about just the stalk or the stems, like the shoots or whatever, I still think the buds are what, and I still think that I'm correct on that part, aren't I? The hemp and the rope and all that stuff, that's made with the fibrous part. You wouldn't use the bud for that, so I think this still does the same thing. Yes, both hemp and cannabis are the same species, and as far as the law goes, I'm pretty sure they classify them both as the same, so that they could eliminate the potential of the products and what they would do to their industries. But it's not just short-sighted like that. It's more of a diabolical means and reason behind all of it, all the stuff that they do. They don't want things that make life easy for you or beneficial in any way, shape, or form. Just how it goes with these dickheads. Let's see over here. All right, and then let's try... I don't care about kick, actually. There we go. Next. So I've had this book. My phone's destroyed, so I don't know. It might have been... I had it for a long time, but I learned about these things. We were talking about this a long time ago, Nicodemus and I, and then I went and started looking at the book, and it was 1905, 1908, something like that. This doctor who created these glasses that apparently you can see auras with. There was a couple of like things about it that raised an eyebrow, like skepticism with me. And he said after a while you could start seeing like entities and shit like that you couldn't see without them. And then other people, of course, will pile on folklore, so you never know where the truth ends and the bullshit begins. But in case you don't know this story,
What's that?
and by the way, anybody who claims that they've replicated these, the manner in which they had to do this, I think, had to do with like radioactive stuff too, or whatever the fuck it was. It was not an easy process to do, and so many people will sell. You could probably find them on Temu, but they're not real. So this guy shares this information with you only to say we have the only ones that are like, okay, you're the special boy who has the only ones that are actually legitimate. I don't think that's accurate, but they're dicyanin. And the reason why we were talking about this because of cyan or the color blue being a occult symbolic color. You have that same blue on the demonic Remphan star flag of that demonically disgusting cult terrorist state. You also have it in the CS gas that they were, I think it was CS gas or whatever the hell it was, but it had cyanide in it that they used at Waco. And if you go to Isaac Luria's burial site, it's that same cyan blue that they painted the whole fucking place with. Yeah, I'll show you. See? It's that same goddamn color. This isn't just like why did they just like it? No, I think it's a little bit more than that. There's something more symbolic about it. Right? And then there's this other woman that they use these same type of colored bowls that she was breaking, and she was doing this like Lilith ritual that he and I stumbled upon when we were looking at this stuff more closely. This whole entire Kever Ari, the grave of Isaac Luria, the Ari or the, I think that means like the lion. Yeah. So it's definitely there's definitely some weirdness going on with that color in general. So when we found out about these goggles and how they allegedly can see auras and they can see potential entities, I'm like, well, is that why? Because it's like utilizing magic in these rituals that they're doing when they want some sort of, looking glass to where they could like communicate with the things that they're conjuring or whatever, or find out if they have decided not to go home when they were done playing with them, that type of deal.
A man named Walter Kilner invented goggles called the Dicyanin goggles that were banned in the U.S. because they saw too much.
Those are our dicyanin aura goggles, and they allow you to view the human bioenergy field that we all call the aura. And he's talking about Dr. Walter Kilner's discoveries from 100 years ago, where he was using these for medical diagnosis. We are the only company in the world that makes real aura goggles that are true to Dr. Kilner's original work.
Here's an old box. That's proof. The guy didn't sell them to other people. What's the old box about?
And as you can imagine, in this line of work, we have seen some really crazy shit that would blow your mind. But what is really interesting is what he mentions next.
If you actually think that there's something like this, that the potential of people seeing this, yeah, so this is right here. It says 50 Shades of Consciousness. He says, I'm pretty sure the chemicals for this were made illegal after the demons in Vietnam. The man in this video is not real human. This is AI. This video is made by AI. This is a complete scam. Why not just make a lens filter? Well, because it's not the same thing. How long did don't the chemicals of the lens eventually degrade? AI. So this is an actual story. It really is a thing. But you understand that they're trying to also sell you some bullshit here, is what my point is. Who even is this guy? Says this person. I have a pair I got from 2 years ago. Now I wear glasses and it's a pain in the butt for people with glasses. Is there any future? This guy's botted. Looking for the purchase link, but only seeing interested peeps and angry bots. They're not. That person wasn't a bot. I know that guy's account. This dude up here, this 50 Shades of Consciousness. Give me a pair of the OG red, and it's from Nam.
A little bit eerie because this is where he absolutely got frightened because certain people did not have auras at all.
It's what many of us have.
That might be possibly true, and that would be another reason why the OAVs wouldn't want you to have that, because I don't think they have souls. Just saying. Or there's NPCs all around, and they don't want you to realize that everybody's a fucking fraud. They're not real. Stop trying to convince them of things. Stop trying to save them. Stop being the bodhisattva who stifles your ascent because you think that you need to go back and help people. Like, this. Stop. Why am I even here right now?
Speculated about over the years that many people seem to be NPC meat bots and have no visible aura at all. Back in Dr. Kilner's day, he mentions that
I didn't even watch this whole video, and I'm already saying things before he says them.
15 to 20% of people have no visible aura, or their aura is mangled or otherwise diseased in some way, and he was correlating that with physical illness. Dr. Kilner also noted...
What about spiritual or energetic illness, or the fact that you don't have the minerals, that your magnetic field is not at its strength that it should be in order to maintain your health from the stresses and intrusions of outside forces?
Noticed that people with mental illness had issues with their auras. And this has been proven out.
Mental issues. That could also be mineral deficiencies, because what is mental illness, really? There's all kinds of books out there called The Myth of Mental Illness, because a lot of this shit was fabricated to get rid of dissenters in the Soviet Union, also Jews. And yeah, it doesn't have a really positive track record. When they want to put a bunch of people who remember the old world, keep them out of society as they repopulate and re-educate. Remember the big asylums in America? Yeah.
By recent research on biophoton emission correlated with certain mental states and states of mental disease. In the 1960s, studies were done using Dr. Kilner's technology that showed that these numbers increased to around 45%. And here we are, it's 2026, and we just spent the last 5 years accumulating data and studying this ourselves, and we have
Why are they black?
Found 80 to 85% of what appear to be people have this same problem. We just...
Yeah, again, just because your goggles don't work, you can say, see, nobody's real. Nobody's real, because look, they don't, it's like, maybe it's the problem with the fucking lenses.
Took these, or
maybe this is a little bit more of a nothing burger than you would want to admit. Even the shit that was going on back then may have been exaggerated.
Around the world on our world expedition and had a chance to view thousands of people all over the earth, and it has nothing to do with race, creed, color, ethnicity, or anything like that. There is something else going on in the world that seems to be robbing us.
Jews. It's not that. It's whatever. People are losing their order. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can lose. If you lost your vital force, you know what they call that? Dead. But if there's other things powered by other things than what we would be powered by in order to make us move around, then maybe there'd be a difference. But those glasses, you should look up the actual book and make your own decision as to whether or not you think it's there's anything to it. I think there's a lot of folklore around it, as to be expected, because people like to take an idea and run with it. And you have the Laura Eisenhowers of the world that say dumb, retarded shit all the time.
There is a building material.
Oh, I already said that one. All right, hold on.
You don't know what they're gonna do.
So I've been saying this, haven't I? Like they are everywhere, and they also know when you're not right there looking directly or, holding on tightly to your child. They know the patterns of your routine. They know exactly when you're going to do something because of these cameras and how they follow you everywhere. And if some piece of shit scumbag utilizes these flock cameras as their Sears catalog, and they say, "Give me that child." I've been saying that this is a potential for these things. Not to mention the fact that the cult of supremacy knows what it plans to do to you, and is quite paranoid that you're going to find out and try to stop them from doing it. And they don't like a fair fight, and they don't like the people that they're trying to torment to be armed at all whatsoever. They want them to be completely vulnerable and easily slaughtered. The best way to do that is to always have the drop on them, so there can be no element of surprise whatsoever, and no right to assembly without it being broken up very quickly by their false authorities. So this surveillance that's also going in your vehicles will make it so you don't want to use a vehicle anymore. I don't understand how people are okay with what's going on with the kill switches. That, by the way, they say, "Oh, that was a 2026. Everybody's got one." The reason why in like 2022, while everybody was freaking out still over the complete distraction of this lie of COVID, there were empty car lots because they weren't allowed into this country until they had kill switches installed. This was planned well in advance, long before there was any regulations. Oh, we got to make things safer. They don't give a fuck about safety. They send people off to die and blow people up all the time. They don't give a shit about safety or stopping crime. It's not what this is about. It's not about crime, because if that was the case, the person who stabs a girl in the neck and watches her bleed out and say, "I got that white bitch," and his brother and his sister are both killers too, they would be in jail, not found incompetent for trial. There would be an awful lot less of these pieces of shit going back out. It's like getting like one of your, what do they call those? Not a rewards card, loyalty. Yeah, like loyalty membership cards with the little hole punch. You get your 10th felonies free or something like that. That these people have way more than 10 of those. They're back out on the street and they're murdering and raping people. If they cared about crime, they'd like think about it, the full picture, and tell me how that makes any sense. No, they care about regulating the people who are law-abiding civilians. Fuck the word citizen. They care about the people who have character, dignity, integrity, nobility, and a sense of duty to protect others, their family, and the innocent. Those people could be potential leaders, and they don't want those people with strong minds and individuality to be around. And they're going to know exactly what type of person you are by the constant surveillance, and they're gonna threat assess you based on that. And then Palantir is going to make a little list, and then something is going to happen to you. That's what this is all about. And yes, they'll also go shopping using this information as well. Shopping for children.
Do with flock cameras. If you had any clue at all, you would see them and go
put a fucking shirt on
immediately. Flock cameras are going to be used for the sex trafficking industry to pick out particular,
not the only thing, but yeah, probably,
individuals. This is what they're going to do. So what we learned with the Epstein files is that everybody is a pedophile, and they have a whole system designed.
Not everybody. The people who run things. The cult of supremacy, most certainly. At least the upper class rich ones. The other ones probably just eat them and drain their blood under in the subterranean territories where there's groundwater and their Shabbat little weasel tunnels, and in caves and, you know, whatever other subterranean territories they have. But as far as all of them, or all of us, no, obviously, no, that's not true. He said everybody is. That was a stupid thing to say. He made no distinction there. I'm just pointing that out because I thought it sounded like an ignorant thing to lead with.
within the government to go abduct children and give the children.
Yes, there are agencies that do that. And guess who's behind this one? Well, do you know what the Adoption and Safe Families Act did? It gave this, it basically weaponized this in the most inverted way possible. And this is how they collect stock for, you have to have something on your shelves to sell. And they don't want the crack baby. They want the innocent, nice ones, because that's a better sacrifice. That's a better rape victim. That's a better peel your face off victim. They're going to take him from good families and make up an excuse. Oh, they've done this. Oh, there's a dish in the sink. This is a unfit parenting, dirty house. Because they were looking for police getting in your home and looking around and snooping around. That's the beginning of the end for you. How's that?
These very rich, powerful people, and that's the system. The product is the children, and the buyer are the...
Oh, yeah, I meant to say also the same thing with that blue color is also the color that they decided to make the directed energy weapon light too, it seems, because blue doesn't get affected by the directed energy. Just another add-on for that. And then cyanides, CS glass, Zyklon, all that shit.
Elites we don't know about. They're going to use, and are actively doing this right now, with flock cameras. They track your every movement. They're able to know where you're going, and after a year or so of tracking your movements every single day, they know your basic routines. They know who lives in your house. They know
I've said exactly this. Like, I said it better than this guy, in my opinion, but...
how old they are. They know everything. They're going to use flock cameras to actually pick out children and categorize children into categories for the elites. The elites
they're going to categorize them into categories.
Say, I kind of want a 3-year-old, maybe 2-year-old blonde who has like this feature, blue eyes, this feature, and they're all going to be collected and placed in a database by flock cameras. They'll know over time, okay, between this hour and this hour, on this time, during this time, consistently we've seen it's only these two in this area. So we're going to have a car planted. We're going to go abduct these people just so we can have this child that the elite is going to pay $100,000 for. So it's plenty worth it to just tell these...
It's not even about the money. It's about the cult and its practice. So the people who are at the top levels, once we're gone, once the goyim of the world are gone, their spell of money doesn't need to continue. It's not going to matter anymore. That it was only to give the powerless, the uncreative, the degenerate, the lower class, the inferior in every way, an advantage over those who were producers, those who were could manifest, who could create, who had innovative ideas. The only way that they could steal the world away from us was through clever deception and trickery. And how do you do that? Well, you take a world of abundance and you give it a stipulation. You give it a middleman. You create a mode of credits that you are required to have in order to acquire things that should be made available to you, because who the fuck actually owns it in the first place? If they go after the resources in the ground, why is it that a private company gets to claim that those are theirs and not the people who live on that land or the country that is occupying that land? Why is it a private company that destroys the habitat, ruins the ecosystem, leaves all the toxins, and then extracts all the wealth, and then sells it, obviously selling that to maybe not even that country, but a different country, so that it can create interdependence between nations, which is completely unnatural as well. That's not necessary, but it's an artificial setup so that they could easily just squeeze off one mode of distribution like they are in Iran, and then tell the people that we're in a crisis, when in reality, we're in a crisis because they're not extracting the resources from the place that you live on. And then you have a bunch of environmentalists telling you how evil that is. It's fucking retarded. And then so it goes. But anyhow, let's move on.
Agents some false thing. Hey, we need to go save that child. So I need you to get the child, bring to location A, B. So all of the individuals in the operation...
He's going a little too stupid into the detail. They don't care. It's money, like I said, is just to keep you weak and to steal away the true wealth of and to make you suffer, make you miserable, make you easier prey. They couldn't do any of that. They had to work on us over time, weaken our minds, weaken our bodies, poison us, deprive us of the ability to solve our daily problems because now it requires a fee for entry, a fee for something. You need money in order to, like, hey, I've got a van I could fix, but I don't get to because I don't have the money for that and the bills. You see, so it's like they have abundance of wealth because they use every trick in the book and they created the system that serves their way of doing things. Other people who have integrity, who have, character, who have a sense of right and wrong, won't conduct business the way that they do. And they also won't be funded or be given artificial unlimited funding by the money generators, the money printers, so that they can steal away industry from us anyway. So they're always going to have the advantage because they're always going to be able to funnel infinite money to people so that they can fail upward. They can they're not brilliant, but when you're rigging the game that you control the money flow for, you can give somebody like Jeff Bezos, who's a complete loser and failure in every fucking thing that he does, and he'll be able to lose money constantly and undercut all kinds of other businesses by selling things at a loss that other companies that can't do that because they have to live in reality because of this monetary system. They can't lose money constantly and still be in existence. They go out of business, then he can raise his prices because he has captured that industry. Diapers.com, look that up. That's a perfect example of how Amazon operates. That's one example, but that's how they do everything. And every one of the CEOs that they've assigned their role, none of them know anything. Elon Musk is a perfect example of that. These people aren't fucking brilliant at all. The majority of them are a bunch of sodomites and sociopaths who want to kill you and children. Alex Karp comes to mind. Peter Thiel as well. Sam Altman. How long do we need to go with this? And then you have the Ellisons. I'm not saying that he's a sodomite, but I'm sure he does some funky things to children. These people are not. They're not special. They are only noteworthy because of what? Because they have a lot of money. Gee, did you think that they did that because of their brilliance? Or do you think it's maybe because they were selected to be leaders of this thing because they are subservient to the cult? Subservient, whatever. So it's a game where they win. It's called I Win, like in Big Daddy. What's this game called? It's called I Win. Except they're the ones that are saying I win. Slowly destroying the middle class entrepreneur, destroying the American dream, quote unquote. And the more of the market share of every industry that they steal, the less opportunity and less ability you have to compete with them. And small businesses go out of business. Big franchise or corporations come into your town. We used to have this place called Madeline's in Saratoga. It was an awesome coffee shop. They had board games, had chess. They had like a big globe, like with the old paper on it. It was cool, and it was like being in a library. You get this big fat cup for your coffee, big thing, and a saucer. And after classes from college, I would go there and hang out, do my homework, just relax, talk to some chicks. And it was a really nice upscale atmosphere. The town of Saratoga decided not to renew their lease. You want to guess what came in the very next year? A fucking Starbucks. The town sold out the business that had been there for 25 years so that they could let corporate in. They didn't. Corporate did not want competition. Corporate did not want that sense of realness of a family business competing with their stale, dead, cold corporate, just vapid blankness, right? They couldn't do that. There was no and same thing like Nancy's Coffee Cafe, which I worked at, was another one. They were a chain. There was one in one of the malls, but they were still not like the level of Starbucks or Pete's or any of those other places. So anyway,
not particularly evil. They're just absolutely idiots. They're ignorant. They're just doing their job. Their government.
But the fact that he thinks that it has to do with money, like, no, this is about the cult operating. And the more they can operate without anybody being able to stop them, the more they can be overt about it, which causes more terror and more obedience to people who have already had all their leaders, all of their tough, rugged individuals who could have been good leaders in a resistance movement. They're going to take all those people off the chessboard before the game even starts. Anybody who has a mind for understanding what's really going on and can give other ideas to people who would need to arrange, organize, assemble, and all that stuff, they're not going to give you an inch because they're going to be able to watch you everywhere you go. There's no way you could ever, like, let's say, that they're going to force a famine. They're going to do something horrible. They're going to move in troops or whatever. They're going to do something sick. It's going to be terrible. There's going to be whatever the fuck. It's happening because it is going to. And you start preparing for not in this life type of thing, the type of response, not in this life, motherfucker. What do you think is going to happen with all the surveillance? Nobody's ever going to know your name, and you could have potentially been a good leader, and we might have been able to push back and might have been able to have other people come in and join the resistance because they saw the potential for us to free ourselves, and they started finally realizing how much of a serious threat this is and how wickedly evil all these people are, and we were able to actually fight back. And let's say, yeah, that tangential storyline will never be known because before you ever got to walk out the door, there was already a hole in your head. Because they already can see and know and watch everything that you do, everything that you're typing, everything that you're talking about, everything that you could potentially influence others to do against them. Cowards want the upper hand. Pussies, terrified little bitches, don't want any type of resistance, and they sure as hell don't want it to be organized or armed. They don't want a fair fight. They're not noble. They're not like our ancestors. They want to abuse, torture, torment, abuse again, and when they feel like they've won and they've captured, they don't just make a truce. No, they torment and torture those people to death as well. Something our ancestors didn't fucking do. Now, there may have been a time where they had to wipe out a people because they simply couldn't be trusted, but that's different. Because when you're talking about that, you're talking about moon cult type people like them that they were wiping out. Because, there's no rehabilitation for child killers. There's no rehabilitation for child rapists. So, yeah, wiping out people who are sick, depraved, sorcery, into dark magic and messing around with pharmakia and torturing people, starving them to death. They don't need to be around. That describes all the people that are in control right now. They don't need to be around. But the target is on us, and this is just one of the aspects of what they're going to be doing and have been doing with surveillance for a long time. There was an old story about Facebook being used like this, and then somebody traced some kind of signal to this place out in the woods, or somebody stumbled upon this place out in the woods that had cameras on it, and it was like one of those Connex boxes, but it had all kinds of freaking weird shit going on there and all kinds of surveillance. And basically it was like a hub or like a server station or whatever. And it was collecting the Facebook data for this type of thing, this very thing, which was making the internet like a catalog for pedophiles to purchase.
Agents, right? They just do as they're told. They assume their higher ups are for their greater good. So you have a whole system. People are going to be abducted.
So we don't need to go through any of this anymore because it's kind of like we get it. But to think about it in a different way, misery is their actual currency, because those who print the paper know that it's bullshit, but they use that to scam you out of real property, real wealth, real control and power over you. Because if you're still playing by the rules of, I can't have this thing because I don't have enough spell money, and that's where you stop. You don't just say, fuck this. Why are we living like this? Why am I not allowed to make firewood? Why am I not allowed to collect rainwater? Why did you hear about the guy that got fined I can't remember how many thousands of dollars and like 30 days in jail for collecting rainwater? And they said he was stealing from the town or stealing from the state or something like that. It landed on his property. He reused it on his property. He wasn't selling it. It's water. Nature is not yours either, apparently. So they do this shit to suppress you, to remind you, without ever saying it aloud, that this is a prison. You're a prisoner. You're not allowed to be happy. You're not allowed to enjoy your life. And if you start to enjoy your life, don't worry. The crash is right around the corner. You get a little bit here, then you go all the way down here. And then you come back to only about there. So you go, you're up here, you go all the way down here, and then you only come up to about here. And this is the new normal.
Based upon just even facial features on everything. I promise you, they're actively using this for this.
And that's not anything new, but it's just going to be more surveillance in every little aspect of it. You're sitting in your vehicle. How does that make you feel that people will be monitoring your children as you drive places, listening to their conversations? You know what can happen if a stranger comes up to your child and knows things about your child, knows what it likes, knows what it thinks about, and because it's constantly listening in. Hey, you know your mom, blah, 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 and gets all the details right. Yeah, she told me to come pick you up. Something happened. I got to take you to her. Or better yet, because that one's a classic one they see even in the after school special movies, right? But what about just, doing the dismissive thing where you know what the kid's into and what he likes? Like you have let's play Pokemon cards. Well, you show up at wherever the kid's at when he's not being attended, or and you have a bunch of Pokemon cards. You're flipping through your little booklet of Pokemon, and an interested kid comes over and talks to you. It's like, this is how predators work, man. But they're going to know exactly what to use in order to manipulate your child. There should be no one who doesn't carry, either concealed or open, everywhere they go, and they should be ready to use it when it's an appropriate place and time to use it on an appropriate threat, not just willy-nilly retardation brandishing for the sake of it. I'm not talking about that. That's dumb.
Palantir just took 2 major losses in 4 days, and here is who destroyed them.
I'm not gonna start getting excited about this though. Hooray! Palantir's on the offenses. No, it's not. It's not the real rare winning vibes that you get from QAnon bullshit. White hats in charge. It's funny that the UFO bullshit community, like the Contact of the Desert Tards, they infused with the whole QAnon movement, and they still talk about white hats and the Guardians are coming. I guess those are the Nordics or something. I don't know, but that's different than like being Norse. These Nordics are apparently aliens, but they have absolutely no clue about anything that Waddell talks about. Yet they still fill in the bullshit gaps, and they still talk about Nazis as if Nazis was what they called themselves, and that they're bad people. They're just all over the fucking map. They're not just mentally ill, but they're just plain stupid as well.
Last December, a Swiss magazine Republic published a year-long investigation into Palantir, the company building worldwide surveillance. It documented years of failed attempts of Palantir trying to sell their software to the Swiss government. Palantir then sued them.
Well, you know why this is a nothing burger? Who basically owns Switzerland? The Rothschilds. Geneva, Davos, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure that's all there. There's a Bank of International Settlements. In Bern, Switzerland, they have the Kinderfresser, which is basically a symbol of Saturn eating children, and it's a fountain in Bern, Switzerland. The Kinderfresser. Do you know what I'm talking about? Let's look at it together. KINDER FRESSER. This guy right here. Are you calling me, Farrah? No, she's talking to her brother. She's playing with her brother. I get it. I got a little too excited because she never wants to hang out with Dad anymore. Anyway, there you go. Blink. Kinderfresser. They look happy. He's eating one of those. I mean, he's dressed in a certain attire from a certain era, but this is a depiction of the whole Saturn thing because the Saturn cult is what I would. The little kids' heads right there, little cherub-looking fuckers, and they're all screaming in terror. Obviously, they're being eaten. Yeah. So here's the funny thing. There's actually, in the story that you get from Saturn, is he eats his children to maintain his dominant position or role, but then he's tricked in and the children are still alive, but it doesn't matter what the story, the root story is, because what matters is the cult that and their practices and their literalism of the ritual reenactment of a scene, right? So it doesn't really matter what Saturn, the story itself represents, or what the story, like the ball cycle from the Ugaritic text, how that has absolutely nothing to do with child sacrifice, and yet it doesn't matter because the priestcraft that's around it, that has adopted it or has infiltrated it as their calling card and their logo, isn't going to abide by the story. They're the ones that are going to do the practice, the conjuring ritual, the child sacrifice, and if they put it into the mythos or the formula of Saturn or Baal or whatever, literally it's basically the same thing, because it's the cult taking their attributes and their practices and just pushing them in whatever is already present in a civilization at the time. So that's why you have Roman Catholic Empire, the Holy See, and you have the same shit going on with children. It's because they push their cult beliefs and their practices into whatever happens to be there. They don't care what you name shit, is provided you're tricked into still being subjugated to their god who does this shit. And the more energy you focus at the thing, thinking it means something else like Yahweh or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still the same Set. It's still the same Demiurge. It's still the same Kronos. It's still the same Saturn. It's still the same Baal. They know that. You don't. And yet it just continues to go on and on like that. Every civilization has their different, way of doing things. And they'll just go in there, they co-opt it. So while the thing is still spinning and the wheels are still turning and everybody's still thinking everything's the same, they slightly change things because of their influence, and they write things into the story and da-da-da-da-da, and their practices, and they take positions of, the priestly class or the sorcerer class or whatever the case may be and whatever the time frame it is, the advisors to the king, the advisors to the president, the influential cult of supremacy now that has been developed out of this same Saturn cult bullshit, but they also spun off a Judaism light and wrote the books for that too and called that Christianity eventually. Oh, and they also did the same thing with Islam, because I guess you need 3, right? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis, problem, reaction, solution. You need a sacrificial class. If you're the managerial class, you're the executive branch. Well, you need to have the cannon fodder, because you're not going to do it. You're above that, right? You're superior. You're not going to go in there and fight. You're only going to let them fight your wars for you. Well, that's all right. Well, Christians are good for that. Christians, let's just give them a guy dead on a stick that they can, wiggle around, and that way they're reminded, at least subconsciously, all the time that they're the sacrificial class. Because we could have picked this guy up at any of his better days and depicted him in that symbol, but we chose the day that he was having his worst day. Makes perfect sense. Remember the Alamo. Remember what they did to this guy. Yeah, that negativity does not do what you think it does. What it does is it glorifies negative, like a negative frequency, a negative effect. It's trauma that you're passing down and putting forward to everybody who has to look at that thing and see the horrific, condition that man is in when you show that symbol. Nobody smiles at that unless you're a sadistic fuck. You don't want to see a person who looks like he's emaciated, undernourished. They may usually make him look like you always see the elbows being a little bit longer, wider than the arms in a way that makes it look like he's been, withering away. The giant knuckle elbows or whatever, where it just looks like when people lose too much weight. Nobody wants to look at that. You don't think happy thoughts when you do. You feel defeated. Like that's what they did to the guy, your guy. It's not a brave warrior on a mountain looking over at the sunset after he made a conquest and saved the fucking day. That's not what they show you. They show you defeat, and you don't think that they're smirking and laughing at that, the dark mockery. Who do you think designed all that? The original symbol was the sun cross, and that was given to them by the Goths. They adopted that from the Goths. Yeah, they were the pagans, of course, right? Why is everything that's important about that religion have its roots in the Gothic and Scythian foundation of monotheism and baptism, marriage, family, justice, reason? They called our people the reign of reason. Where were we? I kind of rambled there a little bit.
On June 12th, the Zurich court ruled that Palantir lost on 22 out of 23 counts and was ordered to pay 95% of court fees plus Republic's legal costs. Press freedom groups even called this lawsuit from Palantir a slap, which is a lawsuit designed to silence journalists with legal pressure. Of course, Palantir denies these claims. Then 4 days later, France's domestic intelligence agency announced it would be dropping Palantir for a French company called Chaps Vision. And then Germany's intelligence agency picked up Chaps Vision over Palantir last month. And now the UK is reviewing it.
What does that mean? So what? Is that better? Because why did you, first of all, if the end result is you still get all the surveillance, but it's a different company, it's a different corporation that they also control, who the fuck won? Nobody. Everybody lost. Oh, it's not called it's not Palantir, it's these other guys. It's the same fucking entity, dude. Nobody else would be thinking that this is a good idea. You want to surveil your people, then the people are the target. The cameras aren't faced outward toward the sea to look for invaders. They're faced inward to look at what you're doing. If they were concerned about crime, why would they be flooding us with sub 80 IQ people with completely different, you can't even call that a culture, way of life? And their lack of values means that if a girl shows skin, she's asking to be raped and murdered. That's not conducive to, I don't know, human society. That's why they live in places that are far away from us on purpose. Like that's how nature made it, so that We didn't intermingle. So this is not a natural situation that we're faced with here. It's not a natural setup. If they were concerned about crime, once again, going back to that whole thing, this is all about crime and keeping you safe, and the people will be on their best behavior. Blah 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 blah. That's Ellison. The people will be on their best behavior. The police will be on their best behavior because everybody's watching it all the time. You won't be able to turn it off. They say that I'll turn it off when they want to pee. This is what he said. You turn it off when you want to piss, but it'll say it's turned off, but it's never actually turned off. So now you're a peeping Tom while somebody's in a toilet, and that's they're saying they're doing to the police officers. It's gonna be really funny when they really want to ruin somebody in the public, and because nothing's ever off, you just see a bunch of people getting blackmailed for jerk off video material that their phone or some other thing took of them having their private moment, right? And then they're just plastered all over the internet to destroy the person. Good luck getting a job. Good luck being taken seriously. Not that there isn't shit tons of people that do that, at least occasionally. But of course, if yours is broadcast to everybody, imagine. And that's a deep fake, is it though? Because they can get the information anytime they want. They know exactly what you're doing when you're doing it and what you're watching. Good time to listen in. Good time to turn on the camera.
£330 million Palantir contract with the NHS, and British officials have called for the deal to end. Palantir is built on US and Israeli military.
This guy, he is very blurry. He should look into that. He kind of looks like a Minecraft character. I didn't know that they were also surveilling Minecraft. Oh, look, Mossad. I always make that joke because bald people seem to be like the monk class of the Mossad. And we already know that these guys are... Hey, let's create a corporation so that it's not actually the CIA doing this stuff. That's what we did with Facebook so that we could do all this bullshit. Hey, people just volunteered all the information that police used to have to ask you for. And then you'd say, I want my lawyer. Now that you just tell everything, hey, I know what kind of fucking salad you had this afternoon because you took a picture of it. Idiot.
Contracts, ICE surveillance, and police data deals. And what reporters say is one of the most dangerous surveillance networks worldwide. Companies in Europe are looking at this and walking away. If you want to make sure you stay in the know about companies...
And then he talks about his app. Okay. Now this is really interesting here. Ready? Ready for it? You ready? You ready? I had... Clayton on before. I'm gonna have to try to talk to him again. He's out of San Diego. I should go visit him. Do some base jumping. But I do it with a string though. I showed you a video, right? I think I recorded it on a GoPro Hero 1. That's how old it is, like 12 years ago. So it's not the best quality video. And yeah, but it's called the Aussie jump or something like that. Because when you take the harness, and typically you clip in the front, which means your braking hand is when you have the string in it, you have it rope to your back and kind of like touch your tailbone with it or whatever to stop, or you can just like pull it out to the side, right? It's whatever. It's just, you know how the braking system works. So if you flip it around to where now the figure eight is in the base of your spine, right, or whatever, by your tailbone and on your waist, and then you hook it up, you can actually put the rope to the front of you, and that means when you're going down the mountain, on the face, you're looking straight down rather than looking upward or this like this. You're going straight down. That's the Aussie rappel, right? And I used to do that often, and then I was like, well, I caught this video one time, and I saw that they're jumping off of a chimney rock. So that means like the cliff edge, but then it's like an edge without a straight down wall where you're gonna hit it if you swing backward. It's empty there, so it's like a cliff edge, and then there's nothing, and then there's like a wall way back here or something like that that's holding it up. This is just like jutting out. So if you can find a place like that to Aussie jump from with clips, you can clip off whatever, then you can jump and basically you have to maybe sometimes wear like a thick glove because of the friction, but you can jump off of it like that and let yourself go for a while and then pull in, and it's dynamic rope, so it bounces. But when you do that, you're not smacking into a wall because you have a little bit of play there to swing back and forth. It's a lot of fun. I haven't done it in a long time, but oh man, I think that a guy who went a friend of mine, Lucas Bischoff, who is from Germany. He was going to college out here at UCSD. He had gone skydiving, and he told me that going and doing the rappel, he was doing it just a regular way, and then doing it the Aussie. He said this is way scarier than having to jump out of a plane. I'm like, really? Because I would think that would be less control and more at the whim of something else. For me, that would be like I can do things, and then I can basically say, well, this is my fault if I screw it up. Like I can do double integrity. I can take the end of the rope and put another I can put another clip on it and then clip it to another clip, so that if one fails, then there's only like a little bit of slack before it catches on the next one that holds. So I can double, what they call redundancy, right? Redundancy is king. I can do that, and I haven't used an ATC in a long time. I just use the figure eight, so because it goes faster. But I mean, there's little things you can do. But when you're jumping out of a plane, like, who packed your chute? Oh, that's the life and death answer question right there, right? So I would think that would be more nerve wracking. Plus, you're like, I don't know. I haven't done the other one, but Aussie rappelling is fun.
A $300 buried pipe holds your home at 55 degrees Fahrenheit in July. No air conditioning, no electricity bill, no compressor. Your government published the exact blueprint in 1947, then quietly erased it from every building guide after 1960. And once you understand what 4 feet of dirt actually does to the air above your head, you will never hire a cooling contractor again. I'm Gick. And this is the cooling system your backyard has been hiding from you for 80 years. Here's the part nobody on YouTube explains correctly. 4 feet below the surface of any yard in America, the soil holds a nearly constant 55 degrees Fahrenheit. It does this in July when the surface hits 105 degrees Fahrenheit. It's in January when the surface drops to -20. But here's the more interesting part. Soil isn't just a battery, it's a time machine. A summer heat wave on the surface takes months to travel down to 4 feet. By the time July's heat actually reaches your pipe, it's already October and the surface has cooled back off. The cool air blowing into your living room in August is quite literally February's cold, stored underground and delivered exactly when you need it. Your backyard has been running a 6-month delay on the weather above it your entire life. You just never had a pipe down there to use it. A $300 buried pipe holds your home at 55 degrees Fahrenheit in July. No air conditioning, no electricity bill, no compressor. Your government published the exact blueprint.
So I just have to figure out, I would have to figure out, like, so then where does the pipe go? And is there a fan? Are you like, what do we talk about here? Is it like an actual like ventilation type thing? But it sounds really interesting and it makes sense to me, and it would be perfect for a place like out here. And if they're going to fuck with our electric bills anyway because of these stupid, data centers, I find this even more interesting because of that particular prospect, I mean, once I get more of the details on it, I mean, just in my mind, you could probably make whatever they say is like the simple way of making it. You could probably become more elaborate with it if you knew more about HVAC or certain shit and shit like that would power it more, make it more efficient. You know what I mean? Because I don't see how it would be if you're just blowing a fan. I think the electric bill for that would be far less than running a fucking AC unit outside. And if you just wanted a fan to help blow some of that air in that pipe or whatever into your home, yeah. Again, like I said, I'm in the prenatal stage of that. I just found that, and I thought that was interesting. I wanted to share it. I'm sure there's people out there that are more gifted in that area, or they work in that area more. They may have a better concept of how they would improve that. Let's see what we got here. Edward Stillman, hola, snack bar. Yes, Bezos, my friend. Oh yeah, the lazy-eyed, the lazy eye of sodomy. Well, you've heard about like a full-blown. Well, they call it the pandas thing, which is a sick, horrific mockery of children that they've raped so hard because when they were infants that their eyes blow up with bloodshot blood, fill in there, and they get black around there. They call that a panda. It's a sick, horrific name even for it. It's all mockery. But they actually have a term for it, and that stuff like literally can screw up your eyeballs. So that's why I said it's like the lazy-eyed look of sodomy when it comes to Bezos and his like wanderer. Because these people pay a price one way or the other. Hello, Bianca Zombie. How you doing? Let me take a look over here. Is there anything over? No, there's no on the YouTube. If it's funny, here, let me show you guys this, because maybe somebody would want to know. I don't understand why. I don't understand why this happens. Like it's got no, why is this popping up here? That's not the Switch account. That's another one though, Fitwit. So if you go to, it could be the name, maybe, I don't know, bro. Syphilopicus brother says, right? It's on here. I've been on YouTube, even though I lost the other channel. I've been on YouTube, and I've been. So if you go to the lives, you see all the ones I've been on here. Look at the views: 2, 9, 6, 2, 1, 3, 2, no, none, 3, none on this one. So it just makes you wonder, like, why? When you're consistently posting, and it's a whole different channel, what is it that's making YouTube not pick them up and move them? And I've gone back and I put the no, not made for kids on there, because that's one of the things that they sometimes will not circulate your video for until after you press. But I've been going back and doing that, and there's been no subscriber increase, and there's 63 videos on here now. This was going to be just for gaming at first, which I don't really have time to do. And then I said, when they kicked me off for some freaking violation, during the middle of my edit series, rather than just have it continue on just Rumble, I started putting them on here too. This is the most recent edit series. I guess that was 4 months ago. Time flies. It seems like that was longer ago though. Probably more like 5. So then you see all the edit series here that was missing from the other channel, the Ballbusters one. You see all the other videos I've had here, but like 1 view, 4 views. It's like I stopped doing it for a couple of days because I'm like, well, what the fuck is the point? How is it that they're still not being seen? And even when I set it up to have a automatic, like template, what do you call it? Keywords, they don't transfer when you do a live stream, broadcasting from a different place. So everything that I set up in the Google account to just every time I go create a video, that it would just already fall into the description. It would just already fall into the keywords, because the information is being sent from Rumble and Rumble doesn't have the keywords. It's not filling them in. So I would have to go back in here and type a bunch of keywords afterwards. And that's not something I'm going to do, especially after the fact, because it's not going to be picked up and circulated after that anyway. So now you know it's here. If you for some reason you like YouTube better because it plays better on your phone or whatever, or you can get it on your TV because you can do that on even a Vizio with the YouTube. Well, there you go. It's called Bro Sif, like Joseph with a bro, and then it's Elupagus, just like it sounds. All right, there you go. I'll probably change the name, but I'll probably keep the character and maybe just change the name. Just change it. But yeah, you have to be careful on YouTube because there's so many things called the same fucking thing that if those channels are established, even if you type in my video, my page name perfectly, they're going to give you results for someone else because they've been around longer and they're the special boys, they're the favored ones. or they might not even be. They might just be shittier, but they'll direct you to someplace other than here, which sucks ass. It's ass and balls. It gets it all in there. All right. So where are we at now? We're going over here. This one's going to be this is kind of like a recap because we talked about this before. Birth control messing up the pheromone signal too. Like there's a chemical thing that attracts people, and then there's like your own what's going on inside of you, what you'd be attracted to and what you wouldn't be are kind of suppressed or confused when you're on birth control. And when you're off birth control, marriages sometimes also fall apart. Look, there's 50% chance that you're going to lose your whatever. Well, this is a huge factor in why that happens. The loss of interest in the partner, which means the sex ends after the first child or whatever, often has to do with they weren't a good match in the first place, and the birth control fucked up that whole chemical signal process. So here you go.
Does birth control give you brain damage? If you
Yes.
Google that, it'll be like, no, there's no studies that prove that.
It does. Sorry, am I jumping to the end there? Let's see if I'm right.
But then you say, show me the studies that birth control damages the brain. Oh, there's a million. Thinning of the cortex, reduce immune cells in the brain, and it changes the hippocampus. 80%
Immune cells. What does that even fucking mean? That's a throwaway, because that's bullshit. They don't even, that's more fake fucking science nonsense trash.
the women that take it are depressed. Causes estrogen dominance, and it makes women pick the wrong men.
Yeah, there's plenty of examples of this where a woman gets married with a man. She gets off birth control to have kids and then no longer wants to be with that man.
Isn't that interesting? So why does it make you pick the wrong man? Well, when you're taking birth control,
She's kind of hot herself.
your body thinks it's pregnant all the time. And when you think your body's pregnant all the time, you tend to pick men who are more like your brothers and your fathers. The ones that you know no matter what, they have to take care of you.
That's interesting.
That's so fucked up. How about no matter what are there for you? They have to. That's a bitchy way of looking at it. Like that's more of like a user type of thing, right? They have to. Like they have no choice. Like I got them. I've manipulated this person. That's how the woman thinks, right? Rather than this person is a solid rock, like that you wouldn't. And I'm not talking about his junk. I'm talking about like he's going to be there no matter what, through thick and thin. Another dick reference apparently, but it doesn't matter. You get what I'm saying. You think there would be more appreciation and respect for that, right? But no. Women are notoriously attracted to things that are bad for them as well, because of the adventure, the mystery, and I guess the what's the word? The excitement of being mistreated, or I don't know what that is. What is that? Like that's like a sadomasochistic thing or a masochistic thing, right? Hey, this person's a drug dealer and an asshole and treats me like shit and cheats on me. I like that guy. So he's dangerous. He's mysterious. Oh, that's funny. Oh man, how about just the dude who's like, making you come 15 times in a night? That's the guy you should go with, right?
Something about that doesn't seem right, but let's see what she has to say.
When you aren't on birth control, you pick the sexy alpha men because you want the strongest male so that your genes become stronger. When you're on birth
But how is that not always ever the same person, though? Like the person who's the solid foundation that has to take care of you, or wants to, or that you can rely on, is a better way of viewing that. How can that not also be the strongest and most attractive? Why couldn't that all be the same person? I guess it does happen, and that's the marriages that still work and are still good, and people are still banging after the kids. I guess maybe that is a thing. I guess it would be, right?
Control, you're picking the ones that are like your brother, and it ends up in divorce. But you can't say it causes brain damage. If it causes brain damage, nobody's going to take it.
It'd be really bad for Big Pharma, wouldn't it? Not to mention the countless stories of women who have come off
Oh, he's not going for president anymore. He's going for Congress.
of birth control, and their periods are completely in disarray for years afterwards. It also does terrible things to your sex drive. So it really makes you wonder, is this a part of a larger agenda
Of course.
to sterilize us, to depopulate us? I'm just asking a question.
Or to fuck up relationships and to have fatherless homes that are easier to prey upon because the protector is not in the equation, and the nurturer may have even driven him away. Yeah. Yes, of course. And what does that lead to? That leads to, if you don't have a big family support net like grandparents, that leads to daycares. That leads to the state having a better chance at raising you, while the parent has to, the single parent who did it to herself to become a single parent and just insisted on having the child, even though the dad may have been able to be a better parent for them and more there all the time. You know, doesn't matter. They're always going to give the child to the weaker of the two parents because they want to manipulate the life of the child. And the influences that are already out there in the society will affect them more. It'll get through the single filter rather than the, you know how like polarized lenses work? You got the filter, you got the lines going one way, and the line's going the other way, and it blocks it out, and you got like the polarized lens, right? Well, it's a lot easier for the bullshit to be deflected when you have two parents guiding you through the shit that's being thrown at you and you're impressionable, you're a sponge at that time, at that age, or as you're growing. So having a father and a mother are both important, and not a lot of people grow up with both. And now when you have flicker rate in front of your children's faces all day, those who do have both parents at their house, they're not appreciative of it. Something else is affecting their brain. And I honestly I know the studies will never come out because the studies that would have to be done by the people who are part of the system that's causing this to happen. So there's not going to be any results in this. But I would guarantee you that whatever the effects are of the subliminal or the flicker or whatever that you can't see, but when you look at it through the certain type of lighting, you'll see the phone flashing. iPhones do this, all phones do this, Galaxy phones do this, all this shit, right? When your child's looking at the phone, I guarantee you, whatever is happening inside here is severing a bond, specifically between the child and his father, more so than the mother. Don't ask me how that works or whatever, but I honestly think that I've witnessed this and experienced this from the observer, and I'm a little concerned about this maybe from firsthand with my daughter too. That we have cool down times from devices, but she doesn't use it a lot. But the fact is, I don't like it at all. So I don't like any minutes or 20 minutes or a half hour of scroll. I don't like that. And I never started her on that. I never would have had her have anything to do with it. But Dad was at the store. Dad was working a lot, back and forth, San Diego, here and there. And next thing I know, why the hell did we expose her to that? What the fuck happened there? And it's like, well, now I'm the asshole who isn't here often because I'm trying to provide for the family. I got to be the jerk and take things away. Put me in a bad spot here. You know what I mean? It's kind of shitty.
Here. It's not like I've shown you any other reels that have supported that theory.
Does birth control...
So Clayton, we got to have him back on. He's a good dude. I like him. I think there's a couple things that he and I disagree with about. I think quite a lot when it comes to history, I think. Maybe not. Some of the health things that we're hitting the same target. And there's only one target that's right, and then there's the wrong one. But I think there might also be some things that, like, I don't know if he would say that there are no viruses. I don't know if he would or not. I don't remember. It's been too long. Oh yeah. There's this tonight. An Age of Revolution returns. I'm not sure what this is. I haven't watched it myself. Let me see if there's another one though. Let's go to Greg. And let's see. Did we watch the one previous to this? Log in. Motherfucker. How did I not? I don't know if I have a fucking Substack. The fuck you, dude. Alright, hold on. There we go. So these are the videos. 250 years of taxation in America. I don't think we saw that one. Cyclical cataclysm and heliocentric and geocentric Earth. I don't know if we saw that one. He does podcasts too, apparently. Technology and AI watch. That one's 11 minutes. Cycles of the Great Reset and Elusive Black Sun. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to say something negative about this symbol, which is not negative. Like, so here's another thing I got to just bring up. If you know that your adversary, your nemesis, your evil incarnate entities that are after you and want to destroy your country, your people, your Germanic people, and pervert and destroy their souls in the process. If they are a Kabbalistic cult, and why wouldn't you research the same shit that they're into so you understood how they operate and what their moves would be? And if they were seeking artifacts, during this time of the confusion of war, which I think was also another thing that was happening. I think there was a race to certain artifacts between the National Socialist, with Himmler kind of like leading that charge, and the international Jewry or the Bolsheviks or whatever you want to call them. Probably American help, military and scientists or whatever, archaeologists helping in that cause. But I think there was something going on, like they had with the whole Iraq thing, where they're showing that thing. We don't know how much of that's bullshit or not, with what seems like a perfectly preserved, very tall, Gothic Aryan type person that everybody immediately said was some douchebag named Gilgamesh, which I don't even think is true, because I think that was a retelling of a story. I don't think there was a real Gilgamesh. Everything that these people are about in this moon cult, Jewish fucking supremacy cult, they say, everything they write, it's all bullshit. It's all lies. It's all inversions. It's all stealing other people's stories and then retelling them. They don't have stories. They don't do anything except wait around to steal from other people and manipulate them and rob them, rip them off, poison them, take more shit, torment, steal their food. This is what they were doing 5,000 years ago. Is what they do now. They live like parasites off of others. So anyway, if you were up against a cult and you understood that, and we went deeper than Freemasonry, because Freemasonry is just a vessel. It's like a cup to hold the learning Kabbalist's form in, right? Now I'm starting to sound like Bruce Lee. If you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. Be like water, my friend. So you would want to know not only what they think, but if they're on a mad dash to grab artifacts that they might think will give them more, power. I think that maybe there might have been an urgency there, an initiative, a desire to try to get them before the demonic cult of Jews did. And maybe they succeeded a couple of times. Maybe that's why they're punished even more severely than, I don't know. But just because symbols like this are used and misunderstood, like the black sun, like, oh, that's evil. Well, it depends on who's in the hands of any god, like a Gothic Aryan Scythian, whatever they were handed when they were their most noblest before their corruptions, it wouldn't be evil. It would be it doesn't matter if it wasn't even intended for evil. It wouldn't be used for evil. But in the hands of the evil, even the good things like Tesla creates are going to be turned into weapons. So it all depends on it's the intent and the mindset and the soul and spirit, if there is one, the moral fiber, the character of the person wielding it. That matters most. I think let's start with the most recent one, The Age of Revolution returns. And I will be back. Why can't I make it bigger? Go! The fuck? I'm not going to play this like this. What the fuck is happening? There we go. All right. And actually, I could get myself out the screen, huh? All right, I will. Ready? Where is it? 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 Did I just see it? Oh, there it is. Ready? Go. All right. I'll be back in just a minute.
The most radical political prose ever written into a founding document of a nation is found in the Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. He went further and wrote that when a government pursues a long train of abuses and usurpations, it's the people's duty to throw off such government. In a 1787 letter to James Madison, Jefferson wrote, "I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing. It prevents the degeneracy of government." In another letter he wrote, "God forbid we should ever be 20 years without such a rebellion." In a letter to William Stephen Smith he wrote, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure." Thomas Jefferson was not the only radical poet of individual freedom. The words of James Madison, Samuel Adams, Patrick Henry, Benjamin Franklin, and others lit the flames for the age of revolution, starting in 1775 with the American Revolution, which inspired the French Revolution in 1789, the Haitian Revolution in 1791, and the Latin American revolutions that began in 1810. This entire age of revolutions unfolded in just 50 years, but according to history, it cannot be described as grassroots rebellions. Freemasonry and the Illuminati were heavily involved. Freemasonry has been, and still is, closely related to the British Crown. The first American Masonic Lodge was established in Philadelphia in 1730, with Benjamin Franklin as a founding member. Benjamin Franklin was the Grand Master of the Pennsylvania Masons, as well as a member of the Lodge of the Nine Sisters in Paris, where he recruited French support for the Revolution. George Washington was a Master Mason of Fredericksburg. Paul Revere was the Grand Master of Massachusetts. John Hancock was a member of St. Andrew's Lodge, Boston. Masonic lodges were incubators for revolutionary ideas. And despite Freemasonry's origins under the British Crown, every Masonic leader of the Revolutionary era sided with the Patriots. The Bavarian Illuminati was officially founded by Adam Weishaupt on May 1st, 1776, during the American Revolution. The Grand Orient of France and various Masonic lodges served as networks through which revolutionary organizers coordinated across national borders. A conference was held at the Rothschild Castle in Wilhelmsbad on July 16, 1782, where Freemasons and the Illuminati forged an alliance before the French Revolution erupted. Yuri Lina is an Estonian.
What they don't tell you is that they were infiltrated, and there was a little meeting in Offenbach between Jacob Frank, Adam Weishaupt, and the Rothschilds, and they forged the plan. And what you get out of that are Frankists and Jesuits basically becoming the perfecto holistin, aka the Illuminati.
Journalist filmmaker, and author who argues that international Freemasonry, international banking, and the communist movement were all interconnected strands of a single project of elite power consolidation. Lena claims that both Lenin and Trotsky were high-ranking Freemasons, loyal to the International Masonic Council. According to a 1917 document, the German Grand Lodge stated that Lenin consistently represents the ideals of international Freemasonry. Both American communists and American bankers were instrumental in financing the Bolsheviks.
And that's Jacob Schiff. That piece of shite right there, funded with U.S. gold. Remember, gold was $20.87 an ounce fixed at the time. And $20 million at that rate was just handed over to these freaking demonic parasites.
Revolution. Lena frames the American Revolution as the first successful deployment of Enlightenment Masonic political philosophy against a traditional monarchy. According to Lena, the Founding Fathers were participants in a Masonic Illuminati geopolitical project to avoid a Christian monarchy by creating a secular republic, and was the...
At that point in history, the Roman Catholic Empire was quite wicked. That's why these Protestants were in the lodges in the first place, because it was a safe place to discuss things, and that's why they were infiltrated, and that's what you learn about in Proofs of a Conspiracy by John Robeson, is that the very arch enemies of the Protestants were now entwined, intermingling with with them in these lodges, which makes absolutely no sense. And they were disavowed for a while, and then they end up in the lodges, and this is kind of where everything picks up and kicks off.
Template that was later applied in France and Russia. Looking back today, Lena's argument does not seem far-fetched at all. Western governments have been fomenting revolutions for over a century, and the astrological parallels between then and now, as well as the current political climate, suggest we may be seeing a new age of revolution. Several major planetary cycles are returning to where they were 250 years ago.
Oopsie.
Pluto, which destroys old power structures, moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. Uranus, which rules revolution, is returning to Gemini, which promotes sudden change and technology.
And Gemini is the twins. Remember that part too. If you watched the last Dexter season, there was a Gemini killer who had a twin brother too.
Logical disruption. Saturn conjuncts Neptune at 0 degree Aries, the degree of new beginnings. And Neptune moves into Aries, a time of idealistic crusades and battles fought over freedom. On July 4, 2026, when America celebrates its 250th birthday, the sky over Philadelphia will more closely mirror the sky of July 4, 1776 than any sky since then. And the secret societies responsible for overthrowing governments are well aware of this. Greg Reese reporting.
The date that I would be more concerned about is actually Thursday, July 2nd, because that was the actual date of the declaration. And it took 2 more days for it to be finalized, ratified, whatever the fuck it was. And that was the date that they had apparently reported in the newspapers, and it just stuck as being the date, the 4th. But it lines up with the solar aphelion too, which is where the sun is the furthest away from, I don't know if he said this, it's furthest away from Earth according to their model. And the perihelion is when it's the closest. So when it's the furthest away, it's more independent, I guess, from the sun. It's more symbolism there. I don't know if we need to see another one of those, do we? Let's go to the chat real quick. There's everything. Oh, guys, if you guys want to support the show, first let me read this. It said, well enough should never be left alone. That's called neglect. When you leave things that are... leave well enough alone? No, that's neglect. The wicked, that's kind of, it's an attempt at being kind of humorous. If people get it. The wicked among us want you to pay attention to them, and they go about it as belligerent, unruly, and spoiled children in adult bodies. They go about it as belligerent, unruly, and spoiled children in adult bodies. Just pour drugs and alcohol into that state of mind, and you have your average LARPing WN and WP mob. What could otherwise potentially produce a positive change if managed properly is deliberately represented by the very worst, most unhinged, rude, and incoherent bunch of degenerates the world has to offer. They put a bad face on what should be a noble endeavor with value to all ethnicities. Because if they actually knew what National Socialism stood for, they wouldn't behave the way that they do. None of these people understand or acknowledge what a National Socialist actually was, and their poor, disgraceful behavior defies the very core values of said NS. Yet they invoke the name and use the symbols, coupled with their degenerate and hostile nature, only to serve the parasite's ends. Is it not obvious they are working against the very spirit of the cause? Is it not obvious they are repulsive to all but the very lowest of the low, whose moral compass has been shoved up their own ass by their own hand? There you go. Follow that channel, Wisdom Fitness AZ. Dr. Glidden's membership, I have to remind you, 50% off using code SOLSTICE, SOLSTICE. You have until tomorrow. There's been people that have been signing up, but you want to get it done to get the lowest rate, 62 cents a day. Get it in, get it done. It's going to be like on the East Coast. I'm trying to think. Here. Okay, so at 10 o'clock my time, PM, it'll be midnight where he is. And that's when, because Central Time is when it cuts off. So 10 p.m. Pacific Time or Mountain Standard at this time of year is when it'll be cut off. I think you have until like, would that make it 1 a.m. on the West Coast? So 1 a.m. on the first. But really, you have all day. You have the next 40 minutes plus until 10 p.m. for the most part at my time to get it in. So you have very little time left if you want to get locked in for life at the lowest rate on leavebigpharmabehind.com. Via equals PG as in Peter Glidden, ND as in naturopathic doctor health. So you click that and you go, got to do that thing again. There you go. So the members will say login. You click there, you put in the thing, Solstice, and you start off by clicking that link or going to my site and just clicking his picture. Now, the 25% off Ballbusters coupon still works on the monthly and still works on the annual, but if you have an opportunity to get 50% off, I would do that in the time you have left, but then you'll still have the 25% off coupon. But again, if you want to get it for $225 a year, I would do it before the time runs out, guys. All right. I didn't even know Dr. Glidden was going to offer that, but that's kind of cool that he did. And then you got this down here, code BB5 for 5% off for life. And you click that, bam, Whole Food Multivitamin. This guy right here. This is the 90 essentials I'm running down. Alaskan cod liver oil, which I don't have a container for to show you. I do have the core copper right next to it, though. The fulvic blend, super important. These are your minerals. You need 70 essential minerals in an absorbable form. Fulvic humic acid, this is what this is. That's 3 months and 10-day supply in that jar. 1/8 of a teaspoon. It should come with a little server spoon. I don't know if it does. It used to when I got it. And then also the last thing would be the IP6 Suprema inositol. And this would be equivalent to your Beyond Osteo effects. And if you haven't watched the video, let me show you. What's this? All right, that's cool. If you haven't watched the video yet, wow, it's almost has 3,000 views on it. Holy shit. You'll see out here, I gave a rundown as to what makes what as far as the equivalents. And you'll get to see how the 90 Essentials done in the whole food set way, how it lines up with the Azure Well products. Okay? Okay. There it is. And what else we got here? Oh yeah, and if you want to support the show, instead rather than using the what do you call it? The Rumble rant. I mean, you can do the subscribe button here. I think that's pretty decent. But they take 50% of the rant, so you're probably better off if you don't want to give most of your funds over to Rumble. You can just click this. And oh wow. Thank you again. Thank you again, sir. Edward Snowman. So there you go. You can do it here. Why does it tell me? Oh, you can actually apply your own number there. That's cool. Interesting. Now I don't see the oh yeah, so you can do it, make it monthly too. Look at that. That's cool. And then you can write me a comment. You can send your name or your social media, not your social security. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. And then you can select. It's like that'd be 5, that'd be 15, that'd be 25, that'd be 50. Make sense? All right. Cool. And thank you again, Edward Snowman, for being a producer of the Ballbuster Show. It's greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I'd be probably on the elliptical for a second time today. All right. The Patreon's also right here. PayPal.me, the Give Send Go. And I haven't forgotten about this project. I just had other pending things that I had to take care of. And I'm going to start working on this, even though there hasn't been anything coming into this that I'm aware of. Oh, 9 days ago, Anthony did. Thank you, Anthony. And thank you, Kevin Dalton. Very kind of you guys. You guys, Anthony and Kevin have been at it for a very long time. So it is appreciated. Now, there's a couple of things here I want to make sure I don't miss, because there was things that actually line up. Okay, maybe it was this. No, here we go. I think let's go with that.
ADL just announced their new anti-Semitic incident reporting map that just so happens to overlay perfectly with Flock AI's digital surveillance.
Anybody surprised?
What ethnicity their largest investor was? Oh, shocker. You might be asking yourself,
Ashkenazi, you say?
What could get you on this list? Oh, just things like saying you hate the Antichrist. None of this comes as a surprise when our elected officials like Tel Aviv Ted here say Christ is king is the same thing as saying this. The reality is Flock AI has already been implemented across the country. They partner with over 5,000 police departments to send your personal information directly to them. If you speak out against Big Brother, guess who's going to come knocking on your door? Pair that with our new AI car laws, and if you speak out against you know who, your car will just stop and it'll pull you off on the side of the road waiting for authorities to show up. Just another reminder that they can track and trace millions of us, but
also that this is a prison and it's not what you think it is. And the people that you feel comfortable with living in this society and saying what you want to say and going to work and feeling like everything's all hunky-dory are actively working to exterminate you and poison you and your family. And when the poisons make you ill, they finish you off with their genocidal eugenics program that they call healthcare.
refuse to actually go after any real criminals. Are we awake yet? ADL just announced their new anti-Semitic incident reporting map.
Heat map. Anti-Semitic. This is the Bolshevik 2.0. This is the digital Cheka that I've been talking about. There was another one in here. Did I start playing this one?
They know you won't notice. This is episode 17 of a series I do where I explain the unforgivable shit big food companies are putting in and doing to our food. A lot of us have been saying it for years, but now there's actual research suggesting...
This is what you do to prisoners, right? You keep them docile. You keep their brains lulled. You don't want them to get all fussy and get riled up.
Ultra-processed foods aren't inherently bad for their nutritional profile, but the industrial processing. Weight gain and metabolic disease has historically been blamed on a food's chemical makeup. Think sugar, fat, and calories. A 2019 randomized controlled trial begs to differ. As part of the study, 2 groups were put on either an ultra-processed or whole food diet for 2 weeks. The diets were meticulously...
A whole food diet still can have all kinds of poisons in it, because what they will consider, like, let's say it's organic. Okay. What is organic? Because pesticide free means something different than organic. They change the rules and move the goalposts all the time to allow for chemicals to be put on certain things. However, if you are an organic farm and you are below the sea level of another farm that is using chemicals that's up on a hill or whatever, that runoff, you're not allowed to be called an organic farm. Which makes sense, but it also makes you wonder, well, what the hell is it that they're putting in on their crops that make all other land and territory that's below them and around them no longer organic either? And how much are they spraying that would even reach you and all that other stuff? Like, there's a lot of questions there.
Match for identical calories, macronutrients, sugar, sodium, and fiber. The group on the ultra-processed diet arm naturally consumed an average of 508 more calories than the whole food group. That group gained an average of 2 pounds over the 2 weeks. And conversely, when those same individuals transitioned to the unprocessed diet for 2 weeks, they naturally lost 2 pounds. The newly published review in Frontiers hypothesizes the reasoning behind it. In whole foods, nutrients are locked inside a complex physical architecture of cellular walls and fiber, requiring the body to actively chew and slowly break down the structure to extract energy. Ultra-processing essentially deconstructs this natural barrier and, for all intents and purposes, pre-digests the food, leading to a cascade of metabolic dysfunction. Since the food...
Pre-chewed Charlies. That was a skit on Saturday Night Live back when Bill Murray was still on the show. Come to pre-chewed Charlies, and he would chew your food for you and put it back on your fork.
Food is absorbed very quickly in the upper stomach. The nutrients bypass the lower gut, where satiety hormones like GLP-1 are released. So I can just take Ozempic and problem solved, right? No, because the nutrients are absorbed so early, the lower gut is starved of a diverse matrix, which causes an...
Yeah, you don't want GLP-1s anyway. You don't want Gila Monster venom injected into you that causes all the things we talked about in that other episode. Gastroparesis, your vagus nerve being paralyzed, your retina's detaching, your lack of nutrients, nutrient deficiency, mineral deficiency, because your body isn't digesting food. It's just sitting there because you have gastroparesis, paralyzed stomach. There's no breaking down going on. There's no absorption going on. You're wasting muscle away, and muscle burns more calories and keeps you leaner the more muscle you have. So when you lose that, along with some fat, you're wasting away.
imbalance in the gut microbiome. We must switch our mindset from only thinking about what's in our food to also considering what's been done to it. I created the Terra app as a holistic food scanner that prioritizes whole food.
Then he goes into that. Okay, we get it. Now I'm going to jump around. I'm going to go back to the Fleckus one because that one's good, but
We've now reached a point where the nation's best farmland has been sprayed with so much pesticides that everyone in the area is getting cancer. I'm talking about Iowa, one of only 2 states in the entire US to have rising cancer rates. Overall, they are number 2 in the country for cancer rates at 491 per 100,000 people. It's worth mentioning this is while cancer rates are declining throughout all of the US, but Iowa, they're sharply increasing. And many are pointing to the fact that Iowa farmers apply pesticides at a staggering scale. Every year, 53 million pounds of herbicides are applied annually to soybean and corn crops. Now 90% of Iowa soybeans are treated with glyphosate and 75% of Iowa corn crops are treated with glyphosate, and the total acreage is almost 20 million. It's happened in just the last 30 years. The rates of applying glyphosate has jumped 238%, and now glyphosate covered corn and soy cover over half of the state's land area. And you can start to put the picture together with the cancer rates when you look at the heat maps. The craziest part about this all is the Supreme Court just ruled that these pesticide manufacturers now cannot be held liable for this, which makes it more clear than ever that change will not be made from Washington, but from you supporting sustainable farming like you can do with the local.
It's from you pushing back and removing people who are tyrants, who are poisoning the planet. They're also spraying that same shit after they've logged once protected lands. Bureau of Land Management needs to go. Federal government isn't supposed to own land in the first place. They're not even supposed to have a jurisdiction outside of their 10 by 10 in DC. But this is a corporatocracy, and there is no constitutional republic, and there are no Bill of Rights. And everything that indicates that, people try to shake out of their head because they don't want to think about it.
Farmers Market app. We've now reached a point.
No, those are the 2 that I wanted to share. I want to make sure there's not. Oh yeah, this one right here. Where'd he go? You moved on me, bruh. See how it jumps so far? That one's a good one. Okay, I saw that one too. So good. There's some really good ones there. Holy shit, look at how far it jumped. There we go.
We're now finding out those license plate cameras aren't just recording.
They weren't license plate cameras ever. They just have this little tracker thing on it. But a camera is a camera is a camera.
Your
it's the fact that you're don't accept the premise of assholes that Louis Rossman says all the time. This is one of those instances. Don't accept the premise of assholes. Don't take that. Oh, it's a license plate reader. Like, it's a camera, dude. Oh, it's a gunshot a detection system. It's fucking a microphone. Stop it already. Be honest with yourself.
It's called signal trace. It doesn't read your plate. No visible plate. Doesn't matter anymore. They don't need it. It reads your phone, your AirPods, your smartwatch, every Bluetooth signal sitting in that car with you. That exact combination is unique to you. Nothing travels alone. Every device that moves with you gets pulled into the web. Your phone, your partners, and the kids.
Remember, there's going to come a time, and maybe it's already here. Anything that has, like, your credit cards that have the little GPS chip in them, that look like kind of like a SIM card or whatever, stop carrying them. Same thing with your phones. Don't take them with you. And any other thing like that. Even your laptops. Phones are going to be really the main thing here. That it's, I guess if you wear those watches, that's not part of my life, but all that stuff. You're going to want to break them, bury them deep in the ground, piss on them, light them on fire, take a poop out of them. You know, whatever you got to do to make them go away, and bury them far away from where you dwell, so that it remains, if there's still a signal left in that demonic device, that it's leading them in the wrong direction.
One household, one file, watched as one. Now you know why they need all those data centers, tracking and analyzing this much data.
Well, I don't think the data centers are actually for just that, though. I think they might be containment centers for us.
Every single American. This isn't a small side project. There's a You 100 million people searched.
And who's to say that they're not going to be playing some transhuman games in those containment units? Some real sick island of Dr. Moreau type nonsense, except in the techie sense where they're making you into a Borg.
All day, every day. All of it straight into government data sharing. And in most cases, no warrant required. It's a live feed, running 24/7 every time you drive past. Plate cameras were just the beginning. The real target
Stop calling them plate cameras. Don't accept the premise of assholes.
now is you, your devices, your patterns. And because this reads device signals, it doesn't need a road, malls, parking lots, sidewalks, anywhere they put the sensor. It already knows your car. Now it's built to know you. And you never had an opinion. Follow.
Well, let it get to know the heel of your foot, of your boot. Let it get to know the. Oh yeah. So as far as precious metals go, and like what you should invest in the future, I would say the most valuable precious metal moving forward would probably be lead and brass, and then a lead dispenser. Maybe a couple lead dispensers. Let me catch my drift there.
For episode 2, who can access this data? We're now.
Fine. He's cool. We'll get back to him in a second.
Nobody came to your door and said, hey, we're going to put a camera in your truck that watches your face, reads your lips, monitors your heart rate, and stores it on a server somewhere in the cloud. We're going to let insurance companies
Waymo cars are disgusting, but so is a Tesla.
access it, and we're going to let law enforcement subpoena it. And we're going to do all of that inside of a vehicle with your name on the title. Now, the Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches, but you signed the terms of service. Now, whether that's legal or not, I don't know, but that's how they're getting around it. They don't search you, they just build a product that you can't drive without giving up those rights. And we're handing them everything. They're telling this that this all started because of a convertible, wind noise, and not being able to hear the assistant.
So why do we need that in a fucking Ford truck then? For the lip reader? That's the last place that you would expect to find that based on that rationale.
They built a system that monitors your lips, your eyes, and your heart rate. And it determines whether or not you're fit to drive.
Your heart rate? It determines your heart rate?
Now, I bought this truck. Nobody came to your door and...
I stopped it right there. You bitch. And for those of you out there who are not familiar, I'm not gonna be mean about it, but you should be. Let's just go right here. I don't want to simplify it. Don't give me a fucking summary. Here we go. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. I mean, your persons, right? Can I look? Got anything in your pockets? Fucking businesses of yours. Can I see your? I need your ID. What is your reason for stopping me? What is your probable cause? What is it that you're trying to establish? What is it? No. Lawyer, fuck off. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, vehicles, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Because your house, your home, it's considered your dwelling, and when you're mobilized as well and you're traveling or parked. Persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures, not seizures, the other way, shall not be violated. Shall not is a very powerful term. Okay? Shall not. So like shall not be infringed, shall not be violated here. And no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause. What's your probable cause? Supported by oath of or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched. They can't just search everything. line of sight, whatever they call that, field of vision, field of view, whatever, describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. You didn't find what you're looking for, but I found this instead. Well, then, is there an argument there in court about that? Maybe. Depends on if you believe in the judicial system or not. Let's go back. Come on, move it. Jesus. Why isn't it moving? Are you broken? Are you seriously broken? Oh my God. That's pathetic. It's not moving. It's got a button there like it wants to move. Let's just go like this. See if that works. Yeah, sure did. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Did it say for hunting? No, it didn't. It literally said, basically, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. What does that actually mean? No tyrannical federalized government should be able to do shit to you in a tyrannical way, right? But also to protect them if you're called to action. Yeah, the good old days, right? When they wanted the people to actually participate in the defense of something, like the way it's supposed to be. You want everybody to be armed because that means you're a stronger society because you're worried about outside threats. When they don't want you to be armed, they want you to be a sitting duck because you're the intended target. You are the intended target by anybody they bring in from the outside, like immigration, and them themselves. And, I don't know, whoever they decide to merger with their military, like or your face, also a threat. And the very definition of an enemy who's not only foreign, but also domestic. How about that, huh? A twofer. I gotta find the other one here. That one's in a different language, but it's worth it. We'll get to it in a second.
I wish this video was fake, but if it's real, this could easily be the end of flock safety. This week we received a video that is most likely a flock camera pointed directly at a pool in a homeowners association. No cars in sight, just families enjoying their day.
Remember what they're doing and what can be done, and whatever is the most evil thing you could think of, it will be done because the most evil people set this system up. I'm not talking about Langley. I'm talking about what that serves. The demonic cult of child killers are now watching you in your neighborhood. Not just even with your neighbor's ring camera or whatever you have at your street light or your own ring camera, learning your patterns there, your ins and outs, coming and going. But now, you're taking time at the pool. Do the parents get up and do something? Do they leave the kids here with the other people to go do something? They shouldn't do that, but all this data can be analyzed, and they can also use it as very disgusting things I don't want to think about because children in lesser summer type attire, I guess you could say, and why they may choose to, like I was talking about with the catalog thing, the Sears catalog. Select your children from a place like that to go get picked up somewhere else at some other time, and because they purchased that person, your child. These are all advertisements. This is the ad feed for predators.
Day, and sadly this is not the first time. Other pictures have been circulating on Reddit of what appears to be another camera also aimed directly at a pool. One's on the X platform that show them on bike paths, and even one's facing children's playgrounds. And
this is actually confirmed by Ben Jordan's videos that there are ones pointed at playgrounds. Yeah, it's for security of the children. Yeah, but when you realize that the people in your quote unquote government, which is a corporatocracy run by child killers, eaters of children, in a cult of human sacrifice, are the ones that are ultimately in charge of your protection and safety, does it then make sense that this would be of concern because those who are claiming to protect you are doing the inverse of that? Look at this. Another heat map there.
It gets scarier. Flock has easily built one of the largest surveillance networks in America with almost 100,000 cameras. They started as license plate readers on the road, but they're clearly much more than that. They aren't even hiding the expansion. They sell a camera called the Condor, a pan-tilt zoom unit that can automatically zoom in on people.
I've talked about this 1,000 times.
As they walk by. And cameras can clearly be seen on DFlock, a crowdsourced site that maps flock cameras, including some in pedestrian areas. All of this was pitched to make our communities and roads safer, but what is actually done is build a surveillance network watching people in the places where cars never go. If you want to get the full picture on companies like Flock, you can use the Conscious app to see who funds them, what they actually do behind the scenes, and how
if I buy this app, can you stop talking about it at the end of every video?
There is a box in your car about the size of a deck of cards, and in 2026 it can do something your car was never supposed to do. It can stop itself on command without you.
Told you about that.
It sits behind the dash or under a seat, wired into the same line as your airbags. It phones every trip you take home to companies you have never heard of. And depending on who built your car, it can be told to slow you down, lock you out, or kill the engine from 1,000 miles away. If you have been waiting for...
All this adds up to very unfair advantage of a cowardly, weaselly, very hateful, spiteful, envious, murderous, rapey group of chosen fuckers who want to abuse you and want to annihilate your kind, having all of this control. It doesn't matter if you don't, I'll just obey all the rules. That's not, stop already with the compliance. You don't have to do anything wrong, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. It's a game rigged for you to lose. It's called I Win, and they're the ones playing it. They're the ones conducting the game. It's called I Win. Just like Big Daddy. And they will find a way. They don't have to... they're going to get to the point where it's going to be beyond the need to sell what they're doing to you to the public to get the court of public opinion on their side, because everybody is going to be decimated and targeted, and it's just going to be chaos and mayhem. And the initial response will be because of domestic terrorism, anti-Semitism, blah blah blah. But do you understand how this network of surveillance can make it so that people can be quietly, so without arousing the suspicions of others, people can be quietly singled out and removed from life one by one, whole families and groups, without the majority of the people being the wiser, and those people who they take away will be, in their minds or Palantir's, demonic mind, somehow a threat to their main objective, who could have been a leader, who could have affected change in the positive for mankind, removed from it's like taking all the pieces off the board of your opponent before the game of chess starts. This is what they can do, and if they do it quietly, more people will be unaware of it. And what will be left? The weak, the frightened, the compliant, the vaccinated. And let's see what happens to them once they start flipping switches and activating or, energizing certain types of energy towers in your neighborhood, if you want to call them that. Let's see what happens when some of the stuff that's inside of them already starts to do things and interacts with all the other Bluetooth signals and all this other new technology that they're implementing into cities, what that will do to those people. Will it like LoJack them? Will it make them do things or think things or see things that aren't there? Will it force their hand to do things that they aren't able to prevent themselves from doing? Will it completely hijack their mind and turn them into whatever the hell they want them to be? Will it simply just shut their own bodies down and kill them off? I don't know. I really don't want to find out, to be honest with you.
For Congress to mandate some kill switch in 2027, you are watching the wrong door. The switch is not coming.
It's already there, buddy.
It is already installed.
And it's been there since people are saying 2025, 26, whatever. It had to be, every car had to have one of those, otherwise it's going to be sold in America. That happened years before that, during the chaos of COVID. That's why there were empty car lots around here and everywhere else too, because they weren't allowed to be shipped or freighted here until after they were installed.
It already works, and every automaker hid it in a slightly different place.
So they hid HID, but
so which brand's built in the most control? Where exactly is it sitting in your car right now? And what can they do with it that they never told you? This is the brand by brand map. Here is the first thing they are counting on. You assume that if a box in your car is spying on you, you could simply find it and switch it off. But this box does not run on your permission. It has its own phone line, a cellular modem that talks to the manufacturer whether your phone is in the car or sitting on your kitchen counter. Therefore, turning off your apps, your Bluetooth, even powering down your phone changes nothing at all. The car was never calling home through you. It was calling home through itself. So you decide to go find the thing. And here, for one moment, the news turns in your favor. There are only about 5 places on Earth to hide a module this size. Behind the dash, behind the glove box, under a front seat, up in the overhead console, or back in the trunk behind the liner. That is the entire list. Therefore, the hunt is winnable, because no matter how clever the engineer was, he was choosing from 5 hands. But
okay, but here's the issue with that. What does it also highlight into to make it so that it may disable other functions in your vehicle if you were to remove it incorrectly? Perhaps. I would think that they would do that so that it could be seen that it was tampered with and cause bigger problems and disable other features in your vehicle so you couldn't just pull it out, because that would be too simple of a solution. And then there was that video that we saw of that guy who's like, I took the chip out, or it was a fuse, maybe it was a fuse or a chip, I don't remember. He's like, don't worry though, blah, 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 blah. And it was supposed to like collect data for his insurance company, because that's what they're... Why would we allow that too? They're going to price us out of being able to drive with that type of stuff. When I found out that the app that they wanted me to put on my phone was supposed to stay on even when I wasn't driving, and this is going to be they'll reduce your car insurance rate if you have this app on. So you want to know everything that I do when I drive. And, but you're going to get a lower rate. I'm like, until you interpret the data in a way that it favors you, then it's going to work against me. What are you trying to lie to me about here? And then also, why does it have to be on all the time? It's not just collecting data about my driving habits or how I drive. It's you want it on my phone at all times, active with the locations on. So I stopped. I didn't even finish installing it. Like, I didn't set it up, and I deleted it. I uninstalled it, and then I started asking myself, well, is this really a discount on my insurance, or is everybody getting penalized who doesn't have it with higher rates? Is the rate that I'm paying actually a penalty rate for not letting them look at everything? Because it doesn't make sense that this thing that, like, the incentive for you to put it in is that you get a lower rate. Well, that's not how I look at it. I look at it as you giving me a penalty of a higher rate, which I should be eligible for both, and I should be able to choose which one I want without having to, like where they say no purchase necessary to like enter, the contest type of thing. It shouldn't be that I have to have this on there. If you're already telling me that I could drive at a lower rate based on your calculations and all this other bullshit about my my history and whatever tickets or bullshit, they do that. Oh, they just file this out and it's this much until this thing falls off or whatever. Then it might be lower. Like, if you could get away with charging me less, then I should be getting the lower rate now. So you're penalizing me for not allowing you to spy on me all the time. There should be a crime there, and they should be the ones that seen as being the committers of said crime.
The engineer had one move left, and it was the antenna. The modem cannot work without seeing the sky, which means it cannot hide its ear.
Do you buy all this?
That little shark fin on your roof was never for the radio. It is the modem's antenna, and the cable running down from it leads straight to the box. Therefore, you always have a tell. Find the fin, follow the wire, and you are looking at the thing that...
Okay, let's double check. Let's make sure we're still on. I don't know what happened there. All right, let's go back. I don't know why I just hit refresh on that. That was kind of retarded. Anyway, let's see. I lost it. Irvat's here. Hold on. I gotta check to see if you guys are still here. Are we still live, guys? Yes, we are. Okay, good. It said that I lost OBS connection. I don't know why. I just restarted my computer today, too. I don't know why it's doing stupid shit. Why would I lose connection? Let's go back to Rumble here, because I lost some of that stuff, too. Anti-satanic, not anti-Semitic, right? Organic venom from free-range snakes. Oh, that's beautiful. Shriveling up and wasting away, all the way to the top of the victimhood hierarchy of their wishes and dreams and fantasies. Irvat said, "Heil all!" And he said, Edward said, "Hey, Irvat." And then Edward said, "Don't accept the premise of arseholes. I don't believe and don't believe a word the serpent cult says." Exactly. Another night of no sleep. At least Dan. Oh, Todd. Hey, Todd. What's up? At least Dan is doing a stream to wake up to. Yeah, I didn't sleep very well the other night. Don't accept the premise of arsehole. Oh, that's a cool. You got the little Greek thing there, right? The alpha of assholes, or a word coming out of the serpent's sassholes. Oh man. Good times. Oh, look, we got somebody watching on YouTube now all of a sudden. That's funny. Wait, I shouldn't do that. That's not what I should do. Yeah, no. Wait, what am I? That. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Let's go over here. Get rid of that. I don't need that one anymore. And then I did something silly and I refreshed this. So let me fix that. Okay, let's go to. Did I skip? I don't need to talk to that girl. Let's go further. There we go. Oops. Come on, brah.
That like, oh, we have space, we have resources. Like, America's so much better than where they're from. They should just come. We have a birth chart here that's going to kind of blow your mind.
This chart shows the future of the world's population by seeing where every baby was born last year. 132 million babies were born in 2025, but less than 5% of them were born in Europe. Pakistan alone had more newborns than the whole European continent, a country with around 1% of Europe's GDP. Nearly 1 in 6 babies born on Earth is Indian. India's 23 million births are nearly triple the total of China, which sits in second place.
So
more than China.
Everyone's Indian, and they all want to come to Columbus, Ohio.
That's like a horror story. Nearly 1 of 6 children born on Earth is Indian. Pakistan, too. That's the grooming gangs people. But man, this is why, like, we can't afford to help everybody. We have to look out for ourselves and maintain a nice country that people aim for, but not everybody gets into, right?
And you do the math of births versus like our capacity. There's no world where we can like positively affect global poverty or desperation with immigration.
Yeah.
But we're going to try. So everyone thinks that like, oh, we have space, we have resources.
People are fucking lost if they actually think. Oh, here's another one. I don't know if you know that Trump also basically said that a while back that homelessness is not just a crime, but basically it was phrased in a way that people interpreted that he was saying that, eventually they're just going to go ahead and take care of the people who are homeless, but they're forcing people into homelessness. So it's not just homeless crazies that you envision. This is how the devil always works. You think that it's saying one thing, and you're assuming that, and your assumptions kill. Assumptions kill. I'm going to say it again. Assumptions kill. You're taking it to mean one thing. The diabolical mind is aware that you're going to support it or not be totally against it the way that they phrase it, but it's going to actually trap the person who's going to agree to it, and they're basically accepting or complying or consenting to their own demise. What the fuck? All right, try it this way. Suckers of cake. These things, I love RVs. I gotta get myself one. I gotta get a lot of things, but I don't like the ones that are trailer hitched, and I don't like the fifth wheels because first of all, I don't want to have to buy $100,000 truck to go along with it, and I don't like the separation of the two things. I'd rather have a E450, or I've even seen what looks like a tractor trailer head on some of these really nice RV type bodies, which I'm sure are not cheap, but they look pretty fucking cool.
They just made homelessness illegal in America. Can you imagine that? It's illegal to be homeless, but not illegal to make you homeless. Criminalizing being poor when you are made poor by a criminal system. You're not allowed to not have enough money to pay for your own survival, but they're allowed to make your survival too expensive to pay for. And if you have any blotch on your credit record, why, it may as well be a criminal record. You can't rent, you can't get a job, you can't secure housing, you can't get a car, anything. And they talk about China's social credit system. Well, you invented it. They've got your social security number around your neck like an iron collar. Everybody in that country has debt collectors chasing after them like bloodhounds after an escaped convict. Well, there's something called the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and that's supposed to protect you. But they don't want anyone to know about it. They want you to think that your only recourse is to go to the government for help, when it's that same government that puts you in debt, keeps you in debt, and is itself in debt. The same government that is bought and paid for by the very predatory, parasitic companies that make life too expensive in America, that make it impossible to get an education without drowning in debt for the rest of your life. The same government and the same courts that have taken all the rights and protections away from you and given them to corporations and given them to the super rich. They don't want you to even know about your rights under international law. They just made homelessness illegal.
All right. We got a couple more here for the evening, then we'll move on and do something else tomorrow. I'm getting to enjoy Chili's stuff. I think he's actually in San Diego. Everybody's in San Diego. I wish I knew these people. Well, I wish I knew these people when I lived there. It'd be a lot more convenient. Let's say our friend Deadeyes. He's been on the show.
If you like plants and you're not following me, man, let me tell you, you're missing out. I can tell you all sorts of neat stuff about plants, like this Liriodendron tulipiferia. This guy behind.
No, you guys know what happened to him, right? Got shot in the face with a shotgun. That's why he lost his eye. That's why he's got the scar on his face there. His neck he almost died, right?
I mean, it's a tulip poplar, but it's not a tulip or a poplar. It's a magnolia. Ain't you, girl? Or plants to avoid, like this Toxicodendron radicans right here, otherwise known as poison ivy. It's a member of the Anacardaceae family, the cashew family. Did you get poison ivy and it itches real bad? Well, just put some jolene on it. This guy right here. Can you imagine not knowing that this member of the Asteraceae family here, this Arctium lapa, is one of the most nutritionally dense plants in the entire world? And it's just growing.
We had that all over the place in upstate New York.
Your backyard, hay fever Caesar rolls along. This guy, the Ambrosia trifida, this guy right here, you can make a tincture out of and make a natural antihistamine. Prepare yourself for the upcoming allergy season. Imagine being stranded, you don't know where to get water. Well, guess what? This Vitis riparia vine right here, if you cut it and put a receptacle underneath it, it'll collect clean water for you. Chronic pain, well, there's plants that help it, like this Lactuca canadensis right here. That milk in there, right there, that's good stuff. That's medicine. Fellas, did you know that pines have phytoandrogens in them? Yeah, that mimics human testosterone. Is it a red oak? Is it a white oak? Is it a Quercus rubra? Is it a Quercus alba? Well, it's got pointed leaves. We got ourselves a rubra, a red oak, baby. I can tell you all about different plants you have in your yard that you didn't even know were medicinal. Like this Plantago major here. Right here. See, my dog even knows it. That's broadleaf plantain. It's great for insect bites and wounds, things like that. Or you have our clover friends over here. Let me tell you about them. This is Trifolium pretense, and this is Trifolium repens. This one's a blood detoxifier and is great for babies if they have fever. This one can calm your nervous system, especially if you put it into your smoking blend. There's probably a ton of plants that you pass every day, like this hemerocallis here, that you just didn't know was edible. They're delicious. I love plants, and I love educating about plants. That's not the only thing I have in my bag of tricks. I know a ton about the world of fungi, too. If you want to know more about our natural world around you, then give me a follow. Check the comment section for how you can get in on my plant education classes. I'll be doing one tomorrow, and I'd really like if you join. I'll expand your nature knowledge with me. I love y'all. I hope you stay spooky. I hope you stay strapped, and I hope you stay wild. If you like plants and
Stay strapped, he said too. Just don't overlook that part.
An African raped and murdered a 2-year-old child, and this child's body was found in Chertsey, Surrey in the United Kingdom. The British Broadcasting Company just says, man. What type of man? Well, Kevin Kurjan is a French national born in the Central African...
I was going to go with Jewish. Well, you know, that's enough.
Republic. Yesterday in West London, a Somali man drove a car into a crowd of people, injuring 5 people. Now, the first case is similar to a July 2025 case of the Afghani migrant Ahmed Mulahil, a 23-year-old man who was convicted and sentenced to 15 years in prison for kidnapping and raping a 12-year-old. When I say every day, it's every day of the most disgusting and horrendous news you can possibly imagine. And half the time, people don't find out, or you don't find out until years later. But tell me why I go on Twitter and I see this Twitch streamer, the Angry Ginge, throwing a fit, filming himself, trying to humiliate some guy who said something racist at the England versus Ghana football game. You will not have a nation if you have a bunch of people like this in your country. Yesterday, I told you a story as an African man is stroking his willy on a beach, and there's a bunch of families with little children, and someone comes up to fight that man, and a white woman steps in to protect him as he was just beating it to children on a beach. These sorts of traitors are exactly why you have these problems in your country. An African raped and murdered a 2.
I have a fucking oh god, that person wouldn't have had a head anymore if I saw that, if it was around my family, or maybe something else would have been missing.
Was Alexander Hamilton Jewish? And did he lock America into permanent debt from day one? The answer, of course, is yes. New research from a University of Oklahoma professor says yes, and his research will shock you. Alexander Hamilton's mother converted to Judaism to marry a Jewish merchant, and she raised Alexander in the Jewish faith. Alexander attended a Jewish school and grew up surrounded by Jewish merchants in
the
Caribbean sugar trade. Later in life, as the Secretary of the Treasury,
so a bunch of slaves,
Hamilton forced the federal government to assume massive war debts, then created the first Bank of the United States in 1791, giving private bankers control over the nation's money from day one. He openly argued that national debt was a good thing, saying permanent debt would tie wealthy investors to the government and create a stable financial class that lived off of interest payments forever. In other words,
the whole parasites. He said parasites are a great thing, and we should be debt slaves. Slaves right back to the same entities that we were trying to get away with the whole revolution. Yeah, thanks, Hamilton.
Hamilton wanted to create a permanent, ultra-wealthy class of individuals who would maintain their wealth simply by collecting interest payments generated by American citizens paying their debts. Firms like
this fucking retard here doesn't know shit about Andrew Jackson. I mean, Andrew Jackson did the Indian Removal Act, aka the Trail of Tears. No, but he called it the Trail of Tears for 90 fucking years. It wasn't a story until after the Jews got their hands on it and wanted to deface his memory and disgrace him as a person. Shut the fuck up, BBDD. Apparently, that isn't for books be reading or whatever. It's not, because you don't. He says, so he may have done this good thing, but I wouldn't say he is a true... Fuck you. I wouldn't say you're rational. Alexander Hamilton also married a Rothschild. I don't know if that's true, but who cares? Aaron Burr killed... Why don't people say the most fucking obvious things? Yeah. Dropping Hamilton's like you're Aaron Burr, like I used to say on the other site. But to say this is like, yeah, we get it.
BlackRock, Vanguard, and the largest Wall Street
Vanguard even uses a fucking slave ship or a merchant vessel as their symbol. That's fucking that's hilarious.
banks are the resolve of
And I can't imagine what that might be a symbol of.
Hamilton's vision, but a man named Andrew Jackson saw the threat for what it was.
That's right, motherfucker.
He called the central bank a hydra of corruption and soared to destroy it. Jackson pushed back relentlessly,
The person who wrote this has got to be fucking retarded. Not that one. This one.
famously declaring, "The bank is trying to kill me, but I will kill it." And he did exactly that, destroying the second bank of the United States.
Bam.
Although Jackson had destroyed the second bank, the core system Hamilton created survived, leaving us with what we have today. Jackson later survived an assassination attempt when a gunman attempted to shoot him at point-blank range, but both pistols misfired. So Jackson beat him relentlessly with his cane. Andrew Jackson was the true hero who stood up to the bankers, while Alexander Hamilton was the man who sold us out from the very beginning. Was Alexander
And let's go back to the completely paid off the national debt. And that's one of the catalysts or the reasoning why these demonic parasites worked at fomenting destabilization and a civil war where Americans were killing Americans because the War of 1812 did not, and they made other attempts and other, intrigues and tried to be subversive and stuff like that to try to get their way and get their talon claws back into America. And they weren't successful from a distance. So they had to make the war happen here. And what better thing to have Americans killing Americans, because then it's win-win on both sides for them. And they wanted to make goddamn sure that there would be no escaping this next debt, and there'd be no escaping their total control, and there would be no secession. You're not going to be independent from the federal government. The federal government is their tool now. The whole idea of the Federalists, that all was foreign intrigue from the Bank of England from the very beginning. People call the Federalist Papers. Yeah, well, Hamilton was in there. So was John Jay and a couple other people. And this Hamilton jackass, just because people who wrote in the Federalist Papers, there was also anti-Federalist Papers nobody talks about. The Federalist Papers, just because they say good things about having a right to bear arms, somehow that makes the whole goddamn thing okay and wonderful, and you should all read the Federalist Papers. Federalist Papers are talking about a strong central government, which basically is overriding and overbearing like we have now against the states. The states now are dependent upon the federal government handouts, which should never have been a thing. So therefore, what are they going to do? They're going to do the will of the federal government. And you know what's fucked up? There's another. I don't know if I have the screenshot or the image or not, but there was this. I guess apparently a quote from George Washington where he said, if this war can't be won or whatever, then I would go to. Basically, he was talking about the Scots and the Irish and the Appalachians, and I would fight my days out in the land of the people who will never bend knee to any foreign whatever, and he says these wonderful things like that. And then he allows Hamilton to take 10,000 people in there right after the war's over and enforce a whiskey tax, and that's the Whiskey Rebellion. That was Hamilton again. Let the Jews have what they want, apparently. Like, he just said all those things like my fellow this, and he's saying all these wonderful things about them. They were the backbone and the strength of the revolution. And then right afterward, they target the very people who were, responsible for the success of the revolution. They go after them and target them with a tax specifically to fuck with them. And Hamilton was the one who he wanted to be the Whitey Bulger. He wanted to lead the men into the battle. He wanted to press the trigger himself.
This German princess was murdered by Jewish Bolsheviks. This is Saint Elizabeth, the new martyr, the granddaughter of Queen Victoria. At the age of 14, her mother and 4-year-old sister died from illness. She effectively played the role of her mother, raising her younger siblings with her father. At age 20, she married Prince Sergei Alexandrovich of Russia. Saint Elizabeth had been raised a Lutheran, but upon moving to Russia, reading into the ancient faith and understanding the culture, she decided she wanted to become Orthodox. She wrote a letter to her father explaining she wanted this and was not being forced. She was received into the church in 1891. Saint Elizabeth received the same accusations from the unbeknownst Protestants around her that we still receive today. As she writes to her family in this letter, "You tell me that the outer brilliance of the church charmed..."
Whoa. Besides the corruption of Protestantism through the evangelical movements of the Frankists that were baptized into yada yada, brethren, yada yada, and evangelical Christianity or Christian Zionism, all that bullshit aside, that's not the true Protestant Reformation movement. And whatever you can say about Lutherans and how apparently Lutherans are coming out to support gay shit now for some reason, it's because they've been infiltrated for a very long time. Just because it says Lutheran doesn't mean it has anything to do with the actual Martin Luther. Again, they trade on the reputation and the assumption being made about certain things because of their origins or roots, their nobility or their character or their integrity that they once had, is that they can trick people in who will assume that they stand for these particular ideals, and then when they don't, they're confused, but they figure there must be something I'm missing, so therefore I guess I still support them. It doesn't, no. But if you understand and you go back to the roots of these things, if you're going, I'm not religious either way, but I would say that what Martin Luther was doing and his vibe going through and doing what he did through the 95 Thesis and the statements he made in the Jews and their lies and things of that nature, I don't think you can fault the guy. Then be like, oh, he's a Rosicrucian. He signed his name with this thing and he had the stamp and the seal and blah, blah, blah. Well, the Rosae Cruci wasn't always bad either. These are all co-opted things. And even if that's the case, there was a reason for these places to be acting the way that they did during certain times where there was tyrannical despotism going on. Same reason why there was a good era of the Freemasons between 1717 and about 1780 so-ish, when, or maybe a little bit before that, before the infiltration of the Perfectibilisten, which were comprised of Jesuits and Frankists. And they terraformed the lodges. It became all about the learning Kabbalah at that point. And paintings that happen after the fact, or monuments that happen after the fact, in the light and the name of George Washington, who said specifically he never wanted a monument. He didn't want the people's money going to building a monument or a likeness of him in his in his life or after his death. Anything that they wrote, they painted it in the mural on the wall to make him look like God. With any of the stuff that wasn't his will. He didn't ask for that. So he came. Oh, look at him! They show him with the whatever they call that thing, for the mortar. It's like, yeah, anybody can draw a picture or make a painting after the fact, and say, oh look, he's really tied into this. He even mentioned in a letter to George Washington Snyder that he had not been in a lodge more than 3 times in 30 years. He had other shit going on. It's because he was a member. I mean, shit. right? So there's a lot of over dramatizing a lot of the stuff that they say about the Masonic order. Like he was told by George Washington Snyder in letter form that in Europe where Snyder was, you know, this movement of the perfectibilists, aka the Illuminati, was corrupting all of the lodges there. So it was something that was in progress at that time, that they were changing their direction and their political position. This is not what the Masonic order was about before. It was like a speakeasy for people who wanted to discuss things outside the ear of the fucking Roman Catholic Empire or Holy See. And he said, I believe you, but I haven't been in a lodge. He said, and Snyder said, I'm pretty sure that they're more than likely also infiltrated in America. And he's like, I believe you, but I don't know firsthand because I haven't been to one in more than 3 times in 30 years. And that's when Snyder actually sent him John Robeson's book, Proofs of a Conspiracy, which outlines the time frame from a first-person perspective in France and England and German lodges that he visited, Robeson, where he at one time they attempted to recruit him, and also just witnessing the change in the rhetoric and the hyping up, the subversiveness, the aggressiveness, and the complete altering of the feel of the lodge to make it all about this learning Kabbalistic nonsense and revolution and destroying of monarchies and tearing down everything. This was what they were talking about in about the early 1780s, maybe late 1770s. It started happening, and it started happening rapidly. And by 1790, he said it was all in their hands at that point. It had completely flipped. The only thing that was fueling those types of lodges were the hateful and spiteful. And then I think you have, you know, the French Revolution obviously happening in that time period. But that was, again, a Oy vey, Saturn cult, child killing cult, initiative, movement. And yes, the Frankists are a part of that. That's why they're important. They didn't go away. They just blended into other things.
Me. In that you are mistaken. Nothing in the outer signs attracted me. No, the service. The outer signs are only to remind us of the inner things. Her husband, the Grand Duke, was killed by an assassin's bomb on February 14th, 1905. She visited her husband's murderer in prison, urged him to repent, and gifted him an icon. She founded the convent of St. Martha and Mary in Moscow. She sold all of her fine clothing and jewelry and moved into the convent with the other nuns. She founded hospitals, orphanages.
So when she lost her husband to an assassin, she moved into a convent and gave and sold all of her worldly possessions.
And cared for the poor and sick with her own hands. On July 18th, 1918, the day following the murder of the Tsar at the hands of the Bolshevik Jews, St. Elizabeth and other members of the royal family were taken by the Bolsheviks in the middle of the night and thrown into a mine shaft. As St. Elizabeth was thrown in, she said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Many of the others thrown in fell down over 180 feet, but St. Elizabeth landed on a ledge only about 45 feet down with one other member of her family. After all of this, he was found dead, but with injuries bandaged by the veil of St. Elizabeth. The abbess and the other martyrs were heard singing the cherubic hymn as the Jewish Bolsheviks above threw grenades down into the mine shaft and left them there to die. St. Elizabeth, the new martyr, pray for us all. This German princess was murdered by...
I fucking hate Bolsheviks. Does that make me a bad person? No. You're supposed to hate murderers. In fact, it's our duty to use that K word to prevent murderers from murdering. You know the difference between murdering and killing? One is against the innocent. That's a murderer. That's what the Bolsheviks are. And the killing is the prevention. It's the saving. It's the noble act of protecting the innocent. One is illegal and immoral and wicked and disgusting. The other is noble and necessary. I think we're good for now. Oh, wait. Well, hold on. This one's kind of rough because it's in German. We'll save that for tomorrow. Oh, listen to this shit. This will be a good one to send off on because this is hilarious. I don't like this guy very much because he says dumb shit about Jews and in a positive way. Like he defends them. He uses the word racist sometimes. Like he's not always of sound mind, and he argues it with the same amount of passion as he does other things, which makes it more irritating when you're wrong and you think that you're right. And I know that he's wrong about certain shit. But yeah, that's just my my disclaimer before we play this. And you're gay too. I knew that was gonna happen as soon as I started. Yeah, build up for nothing. Hold on. So this is a black guy arguing that Babe Ruth was black. They was Babe Ruth and shit now.
Still believe that Babe Ruth was white, then you might be a duck.
This person's retarded.
We was Babe Ruth and shit. Let's hear him out.
Babe Ruth's government name is George Herman Ruth Jr.
Government
fix
name?
your mic, man. We was Mikes and shit.
He was born in Pigtown, Maryland, and he's not a white man.
I don't know what to tell you, man. That's a white man. And this is how a black man would look in black and white. Also, here's a colored photo of Babe Ruth. Yeah, but he wasn't white, kids.
And you can look at a picture of Babe Ruth, and no white man ever has had Babe Ruth's nose.
Two other celebrities of the time who had a nose like Babe Ruth were Carl Malden and W.C. Fields.
Babe Ruth has a classic African-American wide nose.
Therefore, he was the Moors and she. He was the Anunnaki gods and she.
The most famous pictures of Babe Ruth are the ones that make his nose look smaller.
My guy, do you want white people to start checking black people's noses? Why are you doing it? I mean, this is kind of fucking racist, my guy.
You never see the photos of Babe Ruth from directly on, because then you can tell how big his nose is.
We are over the nose shtick. Do you have anything else?
And it's obvious to everyone in the world that one of the greatest baseball players of all time was actually supposed to be in the Negro Leagues.
Both of his parents were German.
They used to describe Babe Ruth as very tanned.
Why would they do that? Because he was white, and therefore he looked tanned. If he were black, then nobody would make a point of it because he just would be black.
That's code for Babe Ruth was just mixed.
Both of his parents. Both were German.
Babe Ruth was half black, half white, so he came out a very tan color.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to succeed where you failed. I'm going to list 3 actual black baseball players who are the best in their field. Alright, starting off is Willie Mays, 24-time All-Star, 660 home runs, 12 gold gloves, and 3,283 career hits. Next up is Hank Aaron, 25-time All-Star, 755 home runs, 3 gold gloves, and 3,771 career hits. And finally, Barry Bonds, 14-time All-Star, 762 home runs,
Strange
8 gold gloves, and
there.
2,935 career hits. Next time, don't try to steal somebody else's identity because you think you like your own culture and accomplishments. Just look inward and you will find it.
If you still believe that Babe Ruth was white,
That's the first time I've heard them say that there was Babe Ruth and shit. That's a new one for me. Okay.
Get a load of this one. Guy's wearing a security mirror from Walgreens on his face.
You could already tell who this retard is, right?
I guess that's one way to avoid eye contact with people. Hold on a second. Is that who I think it is? Ah, damn it.
He looks sedated or on like a bunch of oxycodone all the time. It's like, how do you not realize that you do nothing? If this is like dressing up like this, putting shit in your face, and just making poses like a retarded zombie is all that you're good for. Like, and you still have this impression of yourself of being something special. Like, how do you not realize that you're a joke unto yourself? Like you're whatever. I guess if you're a billionaire's son, I guess it doesn't really fucking matter, but whatever. If you're a billionaire's son, why are you doing anything at all? Now he looks like he's a freaking he's going in to storm the fucking castle at in the Matrix movie. Look at all this shit.
It's poopy pants again. Yeah, of course it is.
Like this. Like, what the hell is that?
Look, poopy pants. Could you please stop doing stupid things that make me have to feature you in my videos? Ugh.
This is mind-blowing my mind, bro. My mind's blown. My mind's blowing. My mind's getting blown. It's blowing my mind, bro.
Really? That's... Wow.
Jews exist. Someone's biting dicks. Did you circumcise your kids? Yeah, obviously. I was shamed into it at the doctor's office by the Jew. So you agreed to clip your little boy's dicks. And you're not even Jewish. Yeah, obviously. I mean, or else.
Remember what we found out, or what they said about the other thing? It was actually in Ryan Gable's show. I think it was Ryan Gable's. The happy spot for the man is not up your ass, like fucking retarded sodomite Jews told you in their bullshit science. It's with the part that they cut off. The male G spot is the part they cut off. Congratulations. Just like when they do the labia thing or whatever, they cut the trim and they do the shit with them, you know, the female circumcision and the Muslim fucking freaks. Yeah.
It's like not super baked in red pills. So you signed paperwork and you paid money to somebody to clip the tip of your boy's dick. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't want to have any segment of it.
I didn't have a say in it. I should have, you know, slapped somebody for that one.
How can you...
Early trauma by the demonic cult.
You literally need to be managed. That's why I'm not mad at the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds, none of these people.
Yeah, what do you mean? Whoa, don't try to conflate that, you fucking half Jew piece of shit. I'm not mad at the Rothschilds or Rockefellers because dick clipping. He's such a fucking piece of shit, this guy. Because people who were lied to about things by doctors who pose as officials, he's thinking like there's a Jew, like a rabbi in the fucking room. It's done in a hospital, and they're telling you that it's you're irresponsible new parent if you don't do it. Like there's pressures that it's like I'm Captain Hindsight. Hindsight is 2020. We now know that this is a bad thing, and so you're gonna shame other people because it's like I hate people who do that. Most of the time, they're degenerate losers who don't have any knowledge of their own. They get one nugget of truth and they start talking down to everybody else because they think this one nugget is worth more than it really is. They're precious, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to measure the world against this little nugget of truth that they think is true. It might not even be true, but they're going to be condescending rather than helpful. They're going to be, because they don't know. They just want power. They just want to feel powerful in their lives because they don't have it. They're little degenerate pieces of shit. They're spiteful and hateful, and they want to feel a confidence or an arrogance. It's like no one hugged that person or something. I don't know if or they grew up poor or so. I don't know what the fuck their problem is. I didn't have any of those problems. I was very well loved, and and we were in a really really big house when I grew up. So I don't know those problems. Sorry. Killing people for vapes. These things are super cool. We got to get into this tomorrow. Since then, life's gone to shit. But I mean, my childhood was awesome. Let's see. San Diego's awesome. Toasty. Oh, okay, sure. I can do that. Hold on, I gotta do it from this side. Hold on, let's see. And oh, did it move? What the hell? Why did it move? All right, now we're ready. You ready? What the hell? It didn't make the fucking noise. All right, try again. Toasty. There we go. One more time. Toasty. All right. Here, I'll go over to this side so I can read these up, blocking it. There you go. Ervat said, San Diego's awesome. Hey Dan, a tangent I'm wondering about. Are ancient fertility cults tangled up with the satanic sacrifice cults and mammon cults? The ancient fertility, well, it depends on what we're talking about. Like the fertility cult by the... if you're talking about like a ball cult where they're saying that that's the fertility god, they're already getting something wrong there because they're talking... It's like the god of grain, Dagon, who isn't even what that guy is. And what they assign it to, or at least the pictures of him are not. They'll say that this is Dagon when it's really it's a depiction of Thor and when he swam like a fish when he was fighting Woden, who tried to drown him by capsizing his ship, and he swam like a fish and came out on the other side and then dunked Woden and then dragged him to shore. And that depiction, they're saying, oh, that's Dagon, who's depicted like a half man, half fish, because these people are so stupid. But that guy is the god of grain and allegedly Baal's father, which we also know is incorrect if Dagon is depicted by that picture. So it's all messed up. But we get to the point of like the cult or the priestcraft that is also, they're the ones that are putting themselves in the position of knowing what the gods want and all this other stuff in order to make prosperous things happen. They're the demonic child killing cult. And yes, the fertility cult was intertwined with the ball cult and others like that. The gods had to be appeased. Even in Carthage, that came later. But I don't see this happening in the time period where, and I don't even think the Canaanites themselves were really that deeply invested in this, but the moon cult that infected them was most certainly doing this weird shit all the time. So yeah, sacrifice cults of, the fertility usually goes along with, there also must, so therefore there must be a sacrifice. The blood has to, I think I've heard it say like, the blood is the fertilizing the soil type of thing. The gods want the blood. This is all that cult telling you. And could you imagine thinking that that's what your God wants? Their God wants, my God who created me wants me to kill my own children or watch other people's children get murdered or burned to death in immolation in order to give us food. What a piece of shit God that is. And these fertility cults also deep-seatedly hated agriculture in the first place because it took away their power to starve people and manipulate and operate them through. And think about this, because this is happening again. If you know a group of people are starving, you can get them to do really disgusting, horrible things sexually and other ways. If you promise them some food or you give them scraps. And this is the Jews through and through, what they do. And this is that cult through and through, which is basically comprised of the same people. Andrew the Great. Yeah, that's right. Andrew the Great from Michael S. King. That's great. Yep, 90 years seems long enough to wait to make sure no firsthand witnesses could come back to haunt them. Then Hollywood and friends can get to work writing the Trail of Tears. Exactly. Hollyweird tribe leading to lost ones down tunnels to 33 pits of hell, said Ervat. And then the K word, kikes. When I said the K word, kill. Yeah, I don't want to say that about them because shit, we was Mars candy bars. Yeah, right. The Babe Ruth and Mars. That's funny. Mars bars. Great Bambino wouldn't approve of that grade race appropriation. No, I don't think so. I think you're probably right about that. Let's take a look over here. If there's anything from the tube. Nope. The YouTube did not say anything today. I wonder if it's... it could be Vin Anderson over here. I don't know. Let's just throw an L over there. Since nobody else did. Jerks. Anyway. And I think we're good tonight. But just remember, one last time, it's now June 30th, everybody. So the time is ticking away. The moments that make up the dull day. Okay, we got to get, if you wanted to get it, I'm going to show you where it's at. And holy crap, I'm very pleased with the 2,911 right now views on this. For this channel, that's pretty good. Like, I've had bigger videos in the past, but this is when I'm glad I got a lot of attention. So this is it's called What Do We Really Know, Dr. Glidden? It was on June 24th, and Solstice is the coupon code for the website for 50% off, but you have to use this link right here. And there's two ways to get to it. You can just click it from this video or any of my other videos where it says Leave Big Farm Behind. You can click it from the video where you're watching right now, which is Leave Big Farm Behind. You can click that right there, or you can go to my YouTube channel. I'm sorry, my YouTube channel. You can go to my Semper Fi Will LLC website and click that, and then just click his picture. And then where my head's at, probably, I'm sure. Okay, no, I got it on the right side. You would click that. It would say log in. It's anyone else's account. And you would use Solstice. But the important part here, there's a two-step process. You first click either this link or the picture on my website. Okay? Or you could click this picture here. You could do it from this video, or if you want to learn more about this and the last talk that we had, then go to this video. What do we really know, Dr. Glidden? And then right there it says, go to my site, use code BDayGirl for 10% off until the July 2nd. You can do that. But just beneath that, again, you can either click this or this. If you click this, you have to click its picture again. You click this. This one still says Ball Busters for 25% off. But if you're watching the video, you'll see that it says Solstice for 50% off. Okay? Because he announced it during that show. So I had the standard information when I was setting up the show. All right. So there you go. And then the 90 essential nutrients are right here. BB5 for your code there. And then the list of them is right there. But Dr. Glidden's membership, the 50% off for the annual one is going to go away here in less than, oh God. It's going to be 9 hours. And 9 hours it's gone bye-bye. So you got 9 hours. You got 9 hours. I want to see a bum rush there. 61 cents a day. 61.6 cents. Alrighty. Alrighty. I was thinking if sacrifice cults, women were megalomaniacs like Elle and had an attitude that sex is about power. You know, they had a predominant role in a lot of things. Like he had the Cybele or Sybil, however you want to pronounce that. And again, the time frames that these things occurred in are important too for like the eras. Like, am I jumping ahead? Is there a gap? It's like from what I know and what they know or they pretend to know, they have had a recurring, like Artemis was a thing, but that harkens back, even though people don't mention this. They're like, oh, she's the huntress. Like, yeah, okay, but she also demanded child sacrifice. What does that make her? That makes her a moon cult prototype, or not a prototype, but a archetype, and it's harkening back to Elle. So it's like, it's carried over because the moon cult, or the Jews, before they were called Jews, the Saturn moon cult, serpent cult by a different name, is now in a different territory. They've just been taught Greek, and they're screwing with the Greek culture. And they're introducing all kinds of weird shit into that. And then people say that's Greek, because the people have Greek names, and they don't ever assume that they're part of this moon cult. They just think, oh, wow, the Greeks are really weird. They're into like gay shit, and it's a cult, man. It's the cult. And yes, does it corrupt the society? Absolutely. Does it? But it's the same way that the priestcraft has been doing it forever. It's by way of influence of pressure that their gods will not be pleased if they don't do certain things. They're sick and twisted. Maybe the human sacrifices are how they get their women interested and willing. Interested in willing to make babies, and if necessary, at least pretend to be interested in the opposite sex. The sick part about it is the byproducts or the products of these orgiastic, often drug-induced rituals that they would have. They would then raise those children until the next burnt offering ritual, which is horrific. Like the betrayal. Where's the mother? Like, these people are not the normal. They're not normal. Everything that we would think that would, kick in for parental instincts and love and motherly values and all that, all gone. They don't. It doesn't. You can't even comprehend. I can't even comprehend. I don't know. It's disgusting, though. All right, don't forget about Dr. Glidden. It's the 1:07 a.m. here. I think it's time for me to go to bed. You guys have a great night. I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with me. You're the best. Thank you again, N-word. Assassin's Creed Odyssey was awesome. Where you go and take down the cultists. That's cool. I have, which one do I have? I don't know which one I have. Valhalla? Does that make sense? Is that the one I have? I think I have Valhalla. See what you made me do. Yeah, that's the one. Yep, that's the one I have. But again, remember, Valhalla is Valhall, which is where the cult did their rituals and their sacrifices. And they're like, oh, the Greeks always did this in caves. I'm like, no, the moon cult did their sacrifices and their drug rituals and their burning purple in caves. The reason why you're seeing these things coming up in the Greek culture is because it's being introduced by this demonic cult of child sacrifice. It's their poisoning of said. And it's just like, man, when you don't know Waddell and you don't his work, you're missing such a huge piece of this. So you're gonna start thinking that the Greeks are these weird people, or you're not. You're just gonna accept this as being the way, which is crazy, like what Ammon Hillman does. Oh, if it's written in Greek, it must be by Greek people. Yeah, are you sure about that? Do you know about what Ptolemy did with the most wretched human beings on the planet? Let's see. Excuse me. Why does that keep popping up? Yeah, Odyssey. I didn't see that one. What year is that one? Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, that might be worth checking that. Save 80% on Assassin's Creed Odyssey at Steam right now. You gotta be effing kidding me. In stock, $11.99. Really? How old is that? Oh, 2025. That's not old. Which one? How old is Valhalla? I didn't even look when I saw it. 2020. Well, that one's even older. Jesus, I didn't know it was that old. Well, that's cool. Maybe I'll check that one out. I haven't really gone very far in the other one. So, and they're huge games. Like, they take a lot of space up. The game ain't contain. Shut up. Now I want to look at it. I don't think it matters if you guys know. Not that old. Shut up. There it goes. Blood and gore, intense violence. So start speaking my language already. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they still need to work on faces. Look kind of goonish. Hey, there she is. Everybody. I mean, at least the way they're depicting her here, that'd be more of an El or Elu type character there. I heard Emin making a case for that one too. It's kind of funny. You can't say all that stuff until you know the Scythians, until you know the Gothic Aryans, and until you know the Sumeria and where everybody was migrating from. Then you can readjust your belief system on all that nonsense, right? Because I mean, otherwise, what are you doing? Wait, did I just say 2018? Why does it say 20? What? What? I just saw 2018 in the corner. Where was I just at? Are you gonna put it back up? Yeah, this one says release date October 5th, 2018. That other one said 2022 or something. Is there two different ones? Yeah, this one does look older now. Let's look at the video. But it doesn't matter. All right, well, anyway. Good night, everybody. We'll do more of this in the next day or so. Is there any more? Let's go take a look over here. The wrong one. Did I totally clipped out of it? What the fuck did I do that for? Odyssey is a great game. I believe Odyssey came out. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Odyssey maybe the elites. Like, I call them the deletes because I don't want to give them the same. Oh, did I pin that message? Maybe the elites, the elites of Greece could be lunatics, right? Lunar, right? Even without the demos being lunatics. Right. Yeah, that's all. It's all very complicated. I'll talk more about that the next round here. I'll bring some material, some reading material to go with it. All right, everybody. Good night.